Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. Tonight, we're going to be showcasing Tears of the Kingdom All Dungeons. Before we get into that, just a few quick reminders for you. You can now join the official GDQ Discord and add the Hotfix role. You can keep tabs on upcoming events there. You can talk with staff and showrunners and more. You can use exclamation Discord in Twitch chat for more information. Also, if you have missed out on any of their other shows or events, you can go check out the VODs over at youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. With all of that said, I will hand it over to our runner of commentary here. Let everybody introduce themselves.
All right, sounds good. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you so much, GDQ, for having me on. My name is Cloud. I speedrun Tears of the Kingdom as well as Breath of the Wild. And I'm super excited to be showcasing the All Dungeons speedrun for you guys today. We have a pretty newish route that I've been working on the last couple months, so hopefully we'll get to show off some pretty cool stuff. And on my virtual couch joining me, I have the incredibly talented Simply Snaps. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm Simply Snaps. I've been kind of tangential to the speedrun community, especially for this game, for a while. Huge fan of watching runs, very, kind of known for breaking this game in my own way. And when Cloud asked me to hang out, kind of provide some commentary and context for what wacky things you might see, I said that sounds like a great time.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So timing's going to start when we select start on new game here. So we can do a countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. So I think the first thing we should probably bring up is the version that we were playing on. We were playing on version 1.0, which is the launch day patch or pre-launch day patch, actually. And the main reason for version 1.0 is the insane access we get to all these incredible glitches and specific things we can do in version 1.0 that are not present in other versions. One of them, one of the most unique things we're actually going to see coming up right as we load into new game, we're going to be immediately clipping out of bounds. So Zelda's taking us on a nice little date through the catacombs here. And in true speedrunner fashion, we're just going to clip out of bounds and ignore her because her dialogue takes way too long. So I'm going to line up myself here with the precise texture on the wall. First try, very nice.
This is how most of my first dates typically go as well. All right, so navigating out of bounds to skip a lot of the early dialogue triggers Zelda has, really interesting. Only like a month or two after the community decided to allow a traditional intro skip is when it was discovered that a huge portion of the intro can in fact be skipped. The entire thing can't be. There's a cutscene later on where you actually meet Ganon himself, which can't be skipped yet. It probably won't ever. But a lot of this early area with the catacombs, you can skip a lot of the conversations with Zelda and end up at the trigger down below. That is kind of the point of no return for the intro. No way we could ever come back to the intro. More on that later.
So there you saw a little bit of parkour movement, and some of those precise, funny-looking jumps were basically, like we said, to skip those cutscene triggers. And we got through, and there's another important reason that Snaps briefly touched on. We actually need to preserve the autosave that we got at the very start for a glitch setup that we'll be seeing shortly after we get into the tutorial area of the game, Great Sky Island, as those of you who have played this game might be familiar with. Similar to Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild, we're going to be stuck on this island floating in the sky for about 30 minutes or so. They're going to try to teach us how to play the game, and we're going to ignore them and make our own rules and do whatever we want, and it's going to be super fun. But before that, we get treated to this 3.5 minute long unskippable cutscene where we did this large lore dump and such.
But I guess now the run is nice enough to start with a bathroom break.
Oh yeah, you've so a lot of categories, pretty much every category optimally needs to not do intro skip, go through that out of bounds section at the beginning and watch this cutscene. So many speedrunners have come up with very unique things to do with their time on stream during this cutscene. I've seen some streamers, they're playing like GeoGuessr. I've seen some streamers, they're speed cubing with like their Rubik's Cube. I was thinking about like getting my other Switch here and loading up like a practice file and practicing some of the later tricks during the intro section here. But yeah, a nice little downtime. Obviously in a category this long, well, I mean, hopefully you won't be resetting as much, but it is nice to kind of have a little chance to relax. I mean, that might just be cope because I've watched this cutscene thousands of times now, but yeah.
A bit of an
Anyway,
interesting fact for certain categories, if a category interacts with any of the game's dragons in any way, if I'm not mistaken, it is not allowed to do intro skip in the sense of starting on Great Sky Island without watching the cutscene. And that's because all of the dragons in the game are on a global timer, and where they are actually depends on the amount of time you've been playing in an unpaused state. And you could theoretically set up a spot on Great Sky Island, but wait for like 7 minutes before saving, so the dragon would be in a more optimal place. And that kind of breaks the spirit of what Interskip is supposed to be, which is not having to watch this cutscene, not to put yourself in a better position for later in the run. If you watch very carefully here, you can actually see 120 different boulders crush all of the shrines from Breath of the Wild, and that's why you don't see them
oh man,
throughout the game. That's my reason, at least.
what's the source for that? Your uncle that works in Nintendo, I'm guessing.
It's 2024. It's my aunt that works at Nintendo.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah, that's a great explanation. Other reasons why there are certain categories, like all dungeons, for example, we're not going to be encountering any dragon cycles, so we don't have to deal with that. But like I mentioned, the autosave that we needed to preserve from earlier, that's another reason why we decided to go through intro as well. Besides the out of bounds that saves a full minute or more just on its own, getting that autosave will help us access a very specific item that's going to help us become overpowered very quickly. So more on that later. Now the cutscene is at its end, and once you perform that tough out of bounds section and watch the cutscene, you are treated to another one of the toughest tricks. This is going to be what we call cog skip, where normally once you load in here, you're supposed to cut the vines after grabbing the decayed master sword, open up a portal, and basically you get treated to another cutscene. What we're going to do instead is take advantage of a wacky physics thing that for some reason a lot of video games have, where you get more momentum and you go faster when you're moving backwards. So we're going to do basically like, people wanted to call it a backwards long jump, but then we're like, that's a little bit on the nose. So we just call it cog skip. We're going to line up at a semi-precise spot on one of these cogs or wheels on the side here and attempt to do a jump to get out of this room early without having to watch any of the cutscenes.
This is very hard. I'm not going to oversell it. You could learn this with a good hour or so of practice, but it is deceptively difficult, especially for new gamers. Let's see.
And old gamers like myself. It's very slippery up here.
There were other methods of getting out of this area found earlier in the game's lifespan, but this is definitely the fastest way, because most of the other ways out of this room involve interfacing with the Zonai device in the center to get the water wheels spinning on the left side of the room, and this can skip that cutscene. So if you get it on the first few tries, there we go.
That was actually probably my last attempt. That was probably my last attempt because the sword was about to break.
We cannot break the Master Sword, not yet.
Correct.
And we're just going to be running right on by the Recall Shrine for now. Unfortunately, unlike Breath of the Wild, we can't activate it and warp back later. Because if I'm not mistaken, you actually don't get the warp function of the map until GSI is essentially over. Unlike Breath of the Wild, where the old man gives it to you as soon as you activate the first tower.
Correct. And the other change from Breath of the Wild 2 is we can't clip inside of the shrines. If you're familiar with Breath of the Wild speedruns, we can do shield clips to get inside early, because the loading zones are not actually active until you activate the portal. And you can activate the portal until you get to the Temple of Time, and you can't get to the Temple of Time until you, get to the Temple of Time. So we gotta make our way there first, and then we can come back here later.
Hey, Cloud, I saw you grab 3 wings. What just happened?
Oh, we did a little bit of black magic. We performed a glitch called duplication. That should basically sum it up. So if you attempt to pull out items from your inventory and you press Y to sort the inventory and B to close the inventory at the same time, it will take them out, but it'll also leave them in your inventory. So if you attempt to take them out in a place where there's no room and the game won't actually take them out, they'll just go right back into your inventory and you get free wings. And we're going to be doing that with a lot of other items in the game too, not just with Zonai devices, but you can do it with anything that Link can hold in his hands. You can duplicate with that method. It's very quick and easy. That glitch is pretty infamous. I think a lot of the casual viewers may be familiar with that. However, this next glitch, a lot of our casual viewers may not be quite as familiar with. And so before we get there, I'm going to give a little bit of a brief explanation as to what we're going to do. I'm not going to get super technical with it, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to grab a tree branch, we're going to glue it to our feet, we're going to go back in time to before the Master Sword was broken, and we're going to steal it from the prologue and bring it forward in time. And that is why we need to
games
place
involve time travel plot lines.
Classic Zelda, right? This is story unintended time travel.
Alrighty, there will be a test later, everybody, so just be sure you're paying extra close attention to what's happening with this tree branch and the decayed Master Sword. I see 2 branches now. When Hyrule's IRS comes to audit you, how are you going to explain all these excessive resources?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, or burn it
Alright.
rather. But yeah, we're gonna go back and give our date with Zelda another try.
I thought this was a no reset run.
Oh, don't worry, we'll be loading back into that.
So,
save
when
that I
you
had
get
there.
another weapon other than the Master Sword on the intro map area, you can discover that the sword you have at the start of the game is not the Master Sword. It is an item called Message Not Found that is essentially a Master Sword in almost every way, but it's indestructible because they don't want you breaking your Master Sword in the intro and having to wait 10 minutes to be able to fight the keys.
So that glitch right there, where we're gluing the weapon to our feet, it's something known as quick drop zuggle, and I'm not going to explain what that means because we might be here all day. But now, as you can see, I have a sword at my feet. Do I still have the tree branch? Perfect. And now, if we just drop this to get the collision unstuck, bam, Master Sword on GSI, or message not found. Actually, the developers never intended you to have access to the weapon inventory that early on, so they didn't even bother giving the sword a name. They just called it message not found as a placeholder. So the special properties of this message not found sword is it's unbreakable and it does 30 damage. However, we're going to be doing another glitch later to increase that damage to almost 1,000 per hit. We'll get there. But for now, this sword is going to be with us. It's going to be our best friend for the rest of the run now that we yoinked it out of the alternate timeline.
So,
And you
we're
can...
going to be doing. Oh.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So we're going to be doing something really interesting here where we need to go down and actually start the GSI quest proper by interacting with the Temple of Time and talking to Rauru. However, we're actually in a really great spot up here. We can get to basically everywhere else on GSI from this central hub. So we really would like to stay up here, but as I mentioned earlier, our warp points won't work until the quest is complete. We can actually circumvent this problem entirely by doing something to avoid setting Link's respawn coordinates while we're down there, meaning if we were to void out, we would respawn back up here. And what we're going to do is take a wing down to the Temple of Time, beautiful flip there, and if we never stand on solid, stable, proper ground collision, and only ever stand on the Zonai devices such as wings, Link's respawn coordinates will not be properly set, so if we void out, we'll go back up to the top. You can actually take this to some hilarious extent. I actually have a video on my channel where I was able to beat all 5 dungeons in the game without ever getting my respawn coordinates set on the ground. So you can do this for quite a while, but it's not very fast unless you need to very quickly get somewhere where you previously were. Oh! Wow.
We're having a little bit of trouble getting a wing to spawn here. Just a little bit of an awkward placement. There we go.
Right, so if you
Here
try
it
to
is.
take out a Zonai device in an area that the game doesn't want, it's just going to say you can't take that out here. This is, by all accounts, very slow movement, but when we actually finish this, you'll see it's much faster than having to climb all the way back up.
Yeah, well, optimally, it's quite a bit quicker than that. I was just playing it very, very safe. We got to make sure we're staying on a wing. The wing needs to be in a very specific spot, so we're on it after the cutscene as it get displaced. And now, like Snap said, we can just yeet ourselves into the void here. And if everything worked correctly, which I sure hope it did because I played it really safe there, we should respawn all the way back up top where I jumped off in the first place. And there we go. Very
We're
nice.
even abusing the fact that most of the time, Tears of the Kingdom does not have void out areas like older 3D Zelda games
Very
because of
true.
how much of an open world this is. But since they don't want you leaving GSI, there's actually a void out plane very conveniently located. If you were to try that in about 20 minutes, you would just fall and,
And
die,
keep
which
falling
would
until you
work.
splat into the ground.
I mean, you'd eventually respawn.
True, true. Oh, here's our next crucial item pickup, the Bomb Flower. If you're familiar with any Zelda game, either casually or speedrun context, you may know that bombs are an incredibly useful and broken tool. Tears of the Kingdom is no different. We're going to be using these bombs to gain crazy amounts of height and perform some interesting tricks that you'll see later, as well as just using them, for their intended purpose of blowing everything up. But now, since we activated that door, the Temple of Time, we're going to be heading up to the first shrine, ascend, as I think was mentioned. One more pickup here, we're going to grab a second shield.
You want to explain the very strange way you're moving with the crouching and taking out and putting away the sword?
Oh, right. So that's basically, that's called crouch throw sprinting. It's basically just a stamina conservation technique. If you're familiar with whistle sprinting from Breath of the Wild, this is kind of like the we have whistle sprinting at home version. It's
Whistle
a lot
sprinting,
more,
my beloved.
yeah. It's not quite as efficient at conserving stamina as whistle sprint is, and it's also a bit more mechanically intense. But it's definitely worth doing in the beginning sections here. You can shave off a few more seconds. Although from this point on, we will not be doing very much running. We're going to take to the skies with a glitch that we should probably start talking about now. That glitch is called Arrow Smuggle. So Arrow Smuggle is a quintessential glitch to this game that's been used in many speedruns ever since last year. But recently, just a few months ago, there's found a very quick way to set it up. So we're going to be grabbing a couple more materials inside the shrine and then setting up the Arrow Smuggle glitch. I'll give a brief explanation, but I'll let you guys see the results for yourselves. If you haven't seen Arrow Smuggle before, it's pretty fun to watch in my opinion. So basically how it works is we perform, similar to the quick drop Zuckle that we performed earlier to get the Master Sword from the intro, we're going to be doing a series of drops, swaps, turnarounds, etc. to get a bow onto our feet, and then we are going to fly. And I will leave my explanation at that and let the game show you rather than tell you. And we're gonna be using this arrow smuggle technique basically all the way until we get the paraglider later on. It's going to be very useful for a quick movement throughout the tutorial section here.
Many categories do not get the paraglider, but actually the Spirit Temple in particular requires getting the Regional Phenomena quest for Minoru's Mask to be activated, and part of that quest is just coincidentally getting the paraglider. So this is one of the few categories that gets to enjoy the convenience of having it, because normally it's just far too out of the way.
Very true, very true. And I promise that's the last construct that I will try to hurt on purpose. We're done with our robbery spree here, so I'm gonna go over here and set up Air Smuggle and just kind of focus for a bit.
Alrighty. So Arrow Smuggle is actually very similar in the theory of movement as other tricks like Pocket Rocket, as far as it lets you travel distances and gain height, but it is a little weirder. So we'll see it in action in just a moment. So the reason we have 0 errors, if I'm not mistaken, is because while you could still technically do this with 1 or more arrows, you would be entering bullet time periodically, which would slow the game down tremendously.
Right. And so for arrow flight there, what I'm doing is I'm holding ZR to draw the bow and then pressing Y to do a jump slash. In the arrow smuggle state, your jump slash is kind of glitched. So you get that momentum that a normal jump slash does when you perform a jump slash that moves you upwards in whatever direction you're facing. But since it's a glitched one, Link doesn't actually pull out the sword, and so you can instantly draw the bow again and just chain those together like this, and basically fly infinitely. And your speed is determined by your initial momentum you get in the flight. So we're gonna be flying throughout the rest of GSI. I'll be taking you guys on a little flight school training course, and I messed up the setup a bit, but I'm very happy with that flight. That's one of the harder ones in the run for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
So getting up top
In
there was very nice. First
in
try.
purely like casual getting around, it's technically like the best because it doesn't use up any resources. Pocket Rocket on 1.1 and beyond takes up rocket durability, and even on 1.0 when the fuse never dies, it does take up your shield's durability. If you're using anything other than the Hylian shield, you're not going to be able to do it for long. But you're going to see her crossing quite a bit of distance with just a little bow. And it doesn't ever make the bow break, and it's not like it uses arrows.
Yeah, it's a very, very handy technique. I would consider it analogous to BLSS from Breath of the Wild. So now actually we're going to be performing another little quick trick here called the battery trick shot or battery throw. So I'm going to do a little Kobe shot right here.
I've
See if we
had
can
this
get it.
explained to me
There
5
we
times,
go.
and it's still just like dark magic to me. I, I
So
don't-
basically what's going on is we have to get this energy cell here, right? If we don't get it before we complete our second shrine, we are forced given it in like a very long cutscene. So there's actually a construct down there, one of the ones that gives it to you. You can throw a capsule down there to hit his raft, and he'll get mad at you and be like, "Stop touching my stuff." In return, I'll give you this battery. And so with a precise wing capsule throw, we can hit that fan and trigger the dialogue midair and get the battery, the short cutscene with basically almost no cost. Very neat trick there. One that I'm very happy to have helped develop that setup
I mean,
last year.
you said all that, and I'm taking your word for it, but it's still just, magic to me.
Nice flight there. And you saw I did a shield surf off the wing there. We're going to be showcasing quite a few different methods of gaining that initial momentum. Because you saw my flight inside Ascend was pretty slow because it was just a running start. But a shield surf gives you a little bit of extra momentum. So now here we're going to be entering the second shrine, Fuse, my personal favorite ability in the speedrun. It's just so useful for a lot of different things. Inside Fuse here, we're going to be getting set up for some of our later sections, and we've also got a cutscene skip coming up. So a couple interesting things to do inside the shrine. Speaking of trick shots, actually there's another trick shot coming up right here. There's a chest on the wall that has a key in it. We need to get past the door, but we can just bomb it down instead of having to throw a fire fruit or something. Do you remember? Do I need the claymore? Nope, wrong category. Yeah, I don't need a claymore. Had to think about that first. So we get our first use of bomb flower here. A little nice fancy midair duplication there. And now we are going to grab arrows here. We're only grabbing arrows so we can do this one trick shot here, and then we're going to be draining them again. So, bullseye, here comes the chest. Perfect. Right into my arms. Yeah, we're going to need to drain these arrows in a sec after I duplicate some more bombs here. A little extra just in case. Perfect. Draining. Now while we're waiting for this door to open, we're going to perform another duplication glitch. There we go. 3 shields now. And what we're doing right here is a cutscene skip. So we're flying basically over the trigger. Oh, I think I hit it. Went a little bit too high there and it got pushed back down. So I think we hit the trigger there, but should be fine. Yeah, just barely. That's alright. It only saves about 5 or 10 seconds or so, so not a huge loss to miss it. But other than that, we are complete with Fuse. Now we're going to be heading to the next shrine, Ultra Hand, and we are going to attempt to go straight directly from Fuse to Ultra Hand with no funny business in between. So for this launch angle, I'm gonna do basically a normalized setup out of the shrine here, using side hops and parries to get myself into position to launch myself correctly to the shrine. I'm definitely gonna focus for this part. Angle looks good, height looks good, direction looks good. And welcome to Ultra Hand. Just like that, we made it all the way from door to door, basically. That setup's super fun, super satisfying. The difficult part about that one is there's a bunch of lag spikes with different things loading in the world below as you're going so fast that you can it can cause you to skip frames and drop inputs, basically failing the flight. Because if you do a jump slash with the wrong timing, Link will do a normal jump slash instead of the glitched one that allows you to carry your momentum forward. And so he'll just basically drop like a stone. And you gotta react fast, because if you're high up enough and you don't do a fall damage cancel, you probably will die or take a lot of damage. But yeah, that one was super nice to pull off. And the setup we're going to do inside the shrine here is another one of my favorites in the run. We're going to do what's called a ledge bomb. By jumping off the very tip of a ledge, we can try to maximize our horizontal momentum. So going to do another little bit of a semi-normalized setup here to get directly to the end of the shrine. This looks good. Not bad.
Oh, that looks really good.
If you're a fan of
bomb
the
jump
classic,
off the
what's that saying?
corner, basically, it gives you a ton of speed.
Yeah, and I didn't even get the fastest launch there. That was probably like the 75th percentile of speed or so that I could have gotten from that launch there. My position was a little bit too far back, but I'm not gonna sweat it. But yeah, if you're a fan of the classic Zelda puzzle jingle, you get 3 in like the span of 5 seconds for that shrine, so that's always fun.
I cannot recommend enough Bewildebeest's video on the puzzle jingles in all of
I
the
was
traditional
just thinking
3D
about
Zelda
that.
games. The Mad Lad counted all of them.
I think Tears of the Kingdom was up there, yeah, or more towards the middle of the pack, I would imagine. So now for this
Yeah.
lineup, we're going to be using the angle of the wing to get our speed here.
So cool.
And right in front of the door. That was actually a really good angle. I'm a little bit impressed by myself. But yeah, we're going to be doing that one a second time. So now that we've completed the first 3 shrines, we can head back to the Temple of Time and get the final ability that we'll be getting during this run, which is Recall. And then we can finally head back up and complete that shrine that we ran past at the very beginning.
And is there a reason that you are emptying your stamina when you do that flying sometimes?
For Arrow Smuggle Flight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, the conditions to make Arrow Smuggle Flight work in that quick fluid motion is you need to be a space high enough where Link will attempt to enter bullet time, but not actually do it. And the 2 ways you can force no bullet time is either by running out of arrows or draining your stamina, right? Because if you have no stamina, you can't enter bullet time. So there are specific categories and instances where you need to keep your arrows, like you need them to shoot at something later, but so you don't want to drain them. So in that case, it's usually better to drain stamina instead. I don't know if all dungeons will be doing that at all. And there's another little ledge bomb off the tip of that altar there. I'm going to come up and interact with this door. Fun fact about this door, if you set your system language to Russian, you actually save one full second here over other languages because of less dialogue. But for the all dungeons category, actually we haven't touched on this yet. We are playing in English. That's not only because, for ease of audience use, but English is actually the fastest language for this category.
That.
So if you've seen an any percent run where they're playing with like Russian text, that's why. It's for 1 full second of time save right here. Speedrunners and their min-max mentality.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? It's faster.
Right?
The
Am I
whole
gonna
reason
not
we're
take the
here.
time save?
Yeah, you're putting a
Exactly.
time save on the table.
So unfortunately, now that we're back to the Room of Awakening, I'm gonna have to do cog skip again. So hopefully I can actually get it first try this time, and we'll see how that goes. Just kidding. I'm gonna jump up like that and just skip it. Thank God.
Gosh, I love the skydive mechanic, especially after a little bomb jump like that.
Oh, it's
It
so
just
nice.
it feels so good to move Link around in this game. It's obviously just mostly an expansion of Breath of the Wild, but the little surgical changes just really, I think, in a casual setting, improve so much. I know there's a few things that have been made arbitrarily longer to prevent certain tech from Breath of the Wild, but just gosh, I love how this game handles.
It's very nice, and you can tell they added a bunch of movement mechanics for Link to interact better with the sky that they added. Like the dive. I love the dive
Oh, for
function.
sure.
Every time
The
I go
dive
back
is
to
amazing.
Breath of the Wild, I actually miss the dive. Okay,
Yeah, I loved the dive in Skyward Sword. My only critique of it was that
there we go. Oh,
you couldn't do it on enough ledges. So being in total control of it in this game is just really satisfying. Oh,
it's
but that
super
was an
nice for
entire
sure.
shrine.
We didn't even touch on it. Well, in case you're wondering, we're just gonna skip the entire puzzle with arrow flight there. And fun fact, you can actually use Ultra Hand on those clocks at the end, so you don't even need recall for this section. But we will be using recall later on in the run. Oh, you can see the gate closing behind me, Indiana Jones style. A little bit too close for comfort. So here, before we warp back, I'm gonna do a little bit of a load manip right on the wall here before we do our warp. This will give us a few seconds faster load out of the cave on average, just because it gives the outside world a little bit more time to preload.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have a ton of little things like that where it's like, don't skip this cutscene, don't
Yeah,
progress to this point until a certain loading threshold has happened because the game is interesting. I will say basically everything except the shrines is loaded in some capacity at all times, and it's really impressive that the game runs as well as it does with that context in mind.
right. Okay, a little sketchy here. Should be okay. Yeah, we're fine.
Never doubted you for a minute. Oh, your shield's gonna die though. What's your
Well,
plan?
I overshot a little bit, so
Oh,
we're gonna back this up.
oh,
Should I get the
you,
Korok?
you
We
can
gotta get
fly.
the Korok, right? You guys are about to witness the all dungeons plus 1 Korok world record. It's a new category I just
That's
invented right now.
very competitive.
You can expect to see it on the leaderboard by the end of the night.
I'm gonna bop you. I'm gonna steal it.
Please do. Goodness.
I'm gonna get 2 Koroks.
So ideally we don't miss that there, but you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna go for another fun little optimization that I recently started doing. If I can remember the line though.
You say ideally we don't, but ideally I hear yahaha all the time.
Oh, we missed that one too. It's fine. I gotta go for it, right? Just for fun. So we bonked our head on the wall there, and it gives us a little momentum boost for some reason. That was discovered completely on accident. That you can bonk your head on a wall at a specific angle, and it'll kind of push you.
Basically, if you're moving at a high speed, and you do move at a very high speed for a fraction of a second when you begin stuff like bomb shield jumps, if Link interacts with or ricochets off of an incline, or if you start the bomb jump on like an angle, like the edge of something, you're gonna go way faster than if you just did it on solid ground. Because
Right,
of
right, right.
math.
Or something. I'm not gonna pry into the inner mechanics. I'm just here to
Which
press
is why
buttons.
we brought our residential math expert.
Is that you?
No.
Oh, about to say. So now we finally completed the very first quest and our very first objective, which is to get off the tutorial island. And now, as we speedrunners often like to say, now we can actually play the game.
Hey,
No,
streamer,
no,
why
no.
didn't you just fly behind the door?
Oh, because they're mean and they won't let you.
If you get back there, nothing happens. The
Yeah,
game's a
there's
lie.
the quest flag to activate the golden light and leave GSI is opening that door. The way to open that door is to get a heart container. The way to get a heart container is to do 4 shrines. Everything's very sequential in this game. Not a lot
It
we can
was so
sequence
clean
break.
though.
Not a lot
Bomb
we can
jumping
sequence
off of the
break,
nose of the
unfortunately.
wing.
Oh yeah, that one's super fun. I'm not even doing the optimal setup there. I haven't even learned it yet. It's kind
Tears
of
of the
a
Kingdom
new setup.
Tears of the Kingdom doesn't even really have much of a sequence though, so it's fine that there aren't many sequence breaks. Basically, the sequence is over. You can do anything you want now.
Man, oh man, I still wish we had more though.
Oh
But
yeah,
no,
for
it's alright.
sure.
So now we're jumping off here. We're gonna grab our next crucial pickup, another incredibly useful item, which is rockets. And the next 2 flight settlements we're gonna do here are some of the most difficult parts of the run. So I'll let Snaps take control and explain what's going on.
Well, the first thing you're going to see here is she's going to fail the all dungeons no surface bonus goal by
Oh,
triggering
goodness.
the Hyrule Kingdom text right here. Fun fact, the Hyrule Kingdom map layer won't pop up unless you're standing on solid ground collision. And some people, some very smart, cool people, don't like that map layer one bit. In all seriousness, we're grabbing rockets. They're super important. First order of business after GSI is getting that chest and doing my favorite trick in the game, Pocket Rocket. So if you do Fuse Entanglement on a melee weapon and your shield, you can basically infinitely begin the action of an airborne rocket shield surf, but can interrupt it with the Fuse Entangled melee weapon and just, pocket rocket into infinity. And while that takes a massive toll on a weak shield like we have, you can string it directly into the arrow smuggle fly and go forever.
Pretty much. I had a really nasty lag spike there. I was a little concerned for a second, but we're good. Let's see if we can spot our choo-choo friend. Sometimes he loads in, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he has a buddy with him. See if we can find him down below.
I know Breath of the Wild has
There he is.
technically...
Oh, he's by himself today.
I know
What
Breath
was
of the
that?
Wild has technically stronger methods of traveling through the air with BLSS, bullet time bounce, even wind bombing, but just nothing beats a good old-fashioned pocket rocket in my opinion. It's so fun.
And
I
just
think
like
it
that,
feels the
we're right at like
closest.
What's that?
I,
Sorry.
I think it feels the closest to like something that could have been in the game for like a mini game or a shrine or something. It's just a really satisfying way to move around.
Choo.
All of the other tricks in Breath of the Wild, like wind bombing and everything else, it's got kind of a really steep learning curve. But the second you set up Pocket Rocket, it makes sense. You're
It's
home.
very fun. It's super fun. Unfortunately, though, it's tied to the durability of your shield, and with the old wooden shield, we don't have a lot of durability to work with. So this next fight session is what I consider to be the toughest in the run. Durability is super tight. If I mess up, we're just going to be running to the castle, which is okay, but I would obviously prefer not to do that. So I'm going to focus up again real quick.
Man, if only there was something in the game that just had way more shield durability, in the very direction you're heading. But we live in the real world. Very tense. Such a goofy animation. Love it.
It is very goofy.
What is everybody in chat's favorite Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom movement exploit? I think Breath of the Wild's has gotta be just the tried and true classic bullet time bounce.
I
It's
gotta
always
clip
the
that.
one that
That was
gets the
crazy.
most laughs. Yeah, that was wild, by the way.
I have never
Just,
gone through the window there and then like grabbed the ledge like that.
yeah,
That was crazy. Actually, kind of clutch. I did not even mean to do that.
just an actual masterclass on
Oh
display.
goodness. But the reason that segment's I consider the most difficult is just because of the lag, and that's why I'm tilting the camera up too towards the sky to avoid some of those assets down below from loading in, so I don't get a lag spike. And fortunately, we avoided it, which was really nice. And now we're going to say goodbye and thank you for your service to our old wooden shield. And
Aw.
we're going to go replace it with a younger, hotter shield. I mean, one with 900 durability.
Someone in chat said tree launches. That was discovered before the game was even out on like a Walmart display case. So that is a classic. Alright, so we're actually lowering the durability of the weapon in our hand. Could you walk me through the process of what you're doing there?
Nice lag spike there. We're damaging it down to 1 durability for a glitch that we're going to perform later. So this game has a mechanic where when weapons are breakable in this game, right? So when you get them down to 1 durability for their final hit that they actually break, they will. Alright, we gotta do one more here. They will do double damage. But we can transfer the state of that weapon onto another one with a glitch, aptly known as a weapon state transfer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 1 durability and put it on the message not found. As you remember, I mentioned the message not found is an unbreakable weapon here. Hold on, just give me 1 sec.
Unbreakable, unlike Link's poor toesies when you kick open a chest without boots on.
Got it. So that was just a little crouch dupe right there. Sometimes the inputs can be annoying, so nice to not mess that up. But yeah, so because the sword is unbreakable, but it's at 1 durability, you'll be doing that crit damage as if it's breaking every single time, but it won't actually break. So basically, you're doubling the durability.
So to everybody who criticizes the weapon health, durability, and breaking system in these two games, we actually need it to go fast.
Very, very
That's why
useful.
the devs wisely left it in.
Thank you, Alnuma-san.
Truly a developer of all time.
Yeah. Alright, just make sure I got my visual cue good here. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, with the Highland Shield now, as Navs mentioned, we don't got to worry about durability anymore, especially with that duplication. We can basically pocket rocket however we want now. This is the last kind of tense section that we'll be at for a while. Just gotta make sure not to die here, and we should be okay.
So yeah, on 1.0 in particular, Pocket Rocket is essentially infinite with the Hylian shield because it doesn't ever use up the fuse on the rocket itself. A lot of all dungeon speedruns are done on 1.1 due to glitch differences. Nasty lag spike there. And on 1.1, the rocket actually runs out of fuse periodically, and you'll see runners have to drop down to the ground and fuse and tangle a new one. But in 1.0, you don't even ever really have to worry about it. The Hylian shield isn't gonna break, and even if you somehow use up all of its durability, which you won't, you can duplicate it. So, Pocket Rocket for days.
Very, very nice. And if you saw that glitch where I was pulling out the bow and then going into a dive, that's actually a fall damage cancel technique. Very simple, you can do with arrow flight. There's actually several different methods you can do to perform fall damage cancel in this game, but using arrow smuggle is definitely the easiest one. And since we've already got it, it's basically like our replacement paraglider. We can carry our momentum through the air, we can cancel fall damage, we can float in place. Although we don't have
I
to
was
use
gonna ask,
stamina.
fall damage cancel looks super easy with this method.
Yeah, it's very nice. So with Arrow Smuggle, you do that glitch jump slash to propel yourself upwards. While Link is still in the animation of going upwards, if you enter a dive before that animation has reached its peak height, for some reason the game will reset the distance that it uses from the ground to calculate your fall damage. So you can just land as normal as if you were jumping off like a small ledge.
You would think Pocket Rocket, since you can control your speed, distance, and even descent, would protect you from fall damage. It does not. It's
Nope.
very funny to see happen. You can just slowly flap your way all the way to the ground, and then Link's ankles. Rest in peace, comrade.
Oh goodness. But here we're gonna be, after we watch 47 cutscenes showing the tower over and over again, we're gonna get the paraglider. Actually, no, count them. I'm serious. There's like so many cutscenes. They really want us to know what this tower looks like. But yeah, we're gonna get the paraglider, and now we're home free for a bit. We don't have to worry about dying of fall damage.
On a first playthrough, this whole sequence was so cool. The tower cutscene in particular is just really well done. I just wish you could skip it. Maybe even just the second one onward would be reasonable.
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh, Zelda
Especially
and
for
its unskippable cutscenes.
speedrun purposes. We love Zelda, and Zelda loves cutscenes, and so we thereby love cutscenes by extension.
Listen, it's the Legend of Zelda, and the cutscene is the legend part.
True. True.
before you get to see Zelda running around and swinging his sword.
Oh yeah, that's true. I heard they're coming out with a Legend of Link in a few months. Can't wait to play that one.
What
Where
will they
we
come up
finally
with next?
we get to play as Link after all these decades. Goodness. Nice little panoramic view of the world. So I guess now's probably a good time to talk about our next destination. So now we've basically got everything we need, barring a couple things. We've got a little bit more setup to do, but we're going to be making our way to the first of these 6 dungeons. So I guess we can probably go over what qualifies as a dungeon, right? You may just think of, okay, fire temple, lightning temple, water temple, wind temple, the 4 elementals, and then there's also spirit temple, right? The secret and 5th dungeon. We also include Hyrule Castle as a dungeon for the purposes of the speedrun. And that's
It gets a
because
heart container.
is a heart container from the boss. And also, if you don't complete Hyrule Castle and beat the boss of that dungeon, you will be forced to fight that boss later during the endgame section before you can get to the actual final boss, of which there are several. So yeah, we count Hyrule Castle as a dungeon as well. But in terms of order, we're going to actually be doing Spirit Temple first.
If you have all 5 sages, do they show up for that triumphant moment if you haven't beaten Phantom Ganon?
I
don't think so.
I actually don't know. Interesting question. I can't think of any.
Just like, why would
speedruns-
you do it
yeah.
that way?
I can't think of any speedruns that would do the 5 dungeons, then go beat the game and not do Hyrule Castle. But anyways,
We need
we're
someone to
gonna
do
go back to
fast
Steam.
science on this.
Does somebody want to bust out a quick all dungeon speedrun to check real quick? Oh wait, I mean we could do it right now.
No, I
Just
mean it's really simple. A lot of people, when the game first came out, especially, were like, "Is Hyrule Castle really a dungeon?" It has a boss. That boss appears in the boss rush if you don't kill it, and it gives you a heart container, and it uses the dungeon icon on the map. So
Yeah,
like, I
that's
just think
neat.
it's a pretty cut and dry case. It has a 3D map, so tomato tomato.
Interesting. So now I'm going to be doing that weapon state transfer glitch that we mentioned earlier to get our message not found sword down to 1 durability, and now we're going to be doing a lot of menuing. So I'm going to stay quiet here. I got to count.
Fun factoid: Hyrule Castle is not part of the sky.
Wait,
You can actually, jump down to Hyrule Castle and
What?
land on the highest part of it, and you will get the Hyrule Kingdom text.
5.
A lot of people seem to think it's part of the sky. I honestly, in the first reveal trailer, thought it was going to be floating way up into the air. But no, it's actually basically at sea level.
Alright, let's just check something real quick here. I'll explain what we're doing in just a moment. Oh, I guess I can't.
Arcane magic.
Exactly. So that glitch we just performed there is called Dynamic Zuggle. And what this is going to do is stack the damage in our hand. So basically, what I did there was I basically just glued 8 Master Swords to my hand. And every time I swing the weapon, it will swing all of them at once, including their hitboxes. So that's 30 times 2 from the crit multiplier, times 8, plus the one I'm holding in my hand for 9. And we get a whopping total of, I don't know, a really big number. I'm not so great at the quick math, but...
Residential math expert, quick. So, this isn't the kind of zuggling I've seen in funny Twitter clips. Why aren't they all in his hands at all time?
So dynamic zuggle is actually a more recent method of zuggle, which has been around since very shortly after release. What the pursive dynamic zuggle is normally with a normal zuggle, if you drop your currently equipped weapon, it'll get rid of all of them. They'll all scatter to the ground, slapstick style. It's very funny to watch. But with dynamic zuggle, it doesn't do that. It's a bit more permanent. So there are movement glitches that I will need to perform later that require me to be able to drop a weapon without losing the stack. So that's the main reason we perform zuggle, and also just because, well, it's faster.
Also, as a very, very big benefit, you don't have 9 message not founds screaming in your hands at all times, correct?
True. Just okay, we're
Tragedy.
My fairy got away from me. We need an extra one here. So we're almost done with our pickups. We're heading to that storm cloud over there, which is Dragon Head Island, for our for one more crucial pickup, and also we're going to perform a very interesting sequence break. I know we mentioned earlier there aren't many in this game, but this is one of the biggest ones. So we're gonna, we'll get there when we get there. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But we're coming over to this Bokoblin camp to grab a gem, a topaz specifically, and a weapon, specifically a royal halberd. And these combined with the message not found that I have glued to my hand are going to be our main weapons of destruction for the rest of the run.
So we mentioned earlier that the Minoru quest requires the regional phenomenon quest to be active, which is why we got the paraglider to begin with. But there is another soft check built into the game in the Thunderhead Isle, where there's another door, like from Great Sky Island, that requires 10 hearts to get through instead of 4. However, there's nothing actually tying the game's programming to check that the door has been opened to letting you start Minoru's quest, and it is very possible, even without glitches, to get in there. It's just a super creative way. And also the Lionel never stood a chance.
There's the power of Dynamic Suckle. So now while we're waiting for him to die, so we can harvest his loot, we're going to go ahead and just duplicate some material here while we got some downtime. And that's why we got an extra fairy, because I messed up and got shot. So if we had not grabbed that fairy, we would have had to waste a lot of time to go back and get a new one. I'm just going to overdo below here just to be safe. Did not want that.
So in Breath of the Wild, the gems were predominantly used for maybe making some jewelry, but mostly for selling. In Tears of the Kingdom, the gems are buck wild. They can destroy everything, and if you duplicate them, you essentially get to delete any small enemies that aren't bosses for the rest of the game.
Exactly. And where's my arrows? And
They're there.
any hello? Did they disappear? Or did I really only get 10? I've never seen only 10 before. What's that?
It looks like you only got 10.
Oof. That's really, really unlucky RNG. I've never even gotten that in a run before. So we may have to come up with something on the fly
some
to get
boxes
more
later.
arrows. Yeah, normally you either get 20 or 30, and it's about a 50% chance. So either the arrows flew away off into the sunset, or I just got a really, historically unlucky drop there. So yeah, now we're going to be performing that early mask sequence that Snaps was talking about.
And this is completely possible without glitches. We're using glitches, but this is just Ascend working as intended.
Okay, I'm using Recall to buffer the wing there so I can get the correct placement. And I messed up, so we're going to have to do it again. I was a little bit too far back. Let me off.
There are numerous other ways to actually clip in ways that are not what we would call glitchless. But a simple ascend in just the right place is my favorite way to get into this room.
It's very nice, very handy.
It's just very strange that they programmed a way to prevent you from accessing without 10 hearts,
Okay,
but
this should
then
be
the
good.
mask just... That the mask has any requirement, but then it doesn't
we're
stop you, is interesting.
We have infiltrated the compound.
Perfect.
Very nice. So yeah, we can just bypass that 10 heart check, which would require us to basically do all the other dungeons first, and then do a few shrines as well. And who knows, maybe if anyone's interested, they could run a category like all dungeons are restricted or something, where you're forced to open the door the normal way. Could make for some interesting running.
The restricted in that sense, if I'm understanding, is that it restricts the statue that lets you turn... No, wait. That's for
That's for
Master
all main
Sword.
quests. Or Master Sword too.
Yeah, I love all main quests restricted too. Very good categories. Essentially, it's not very interesting if you don't have to do shrines in a lot of categories. So a lot of categories have restricted versions that make you route in like 20 or so shrines to keep things interesting. And we just grabbed 2 very handy devices from that dispenser.
Yep, steering sticks and carts. They are going to help us break the game even further beyond recognition.
Well, surely a simple steering stick couldn't make things too broken.
Oh snaps, just wait and see. So what we're doing here now is we're escorting this mask to the depths, where we're going to start the construct factory, which is the real dungeon, and I should probably be duplicating these while we're just hanging around.
I don't know, Construct Factory doesn't have a boss or a heart container. And it's just a light route. It doesn't even
True.
have a dungeon icon.
Honestly, we should just skip it. What do you guys think?
I'm a Construct Factory denier.
Should we just skip it? I'm gonna go on strike. I'm going to refuse to do any of the puzzles. Okay.
That's very brave.
Oh, and I'm dead serious, by the way. We're not doing any of the puzzles, but we'll see when we get there.
Nope, we just
Yeah.
have one furry rescue mission, and that's getting Robot Minoru. And then we're heading to the Spirit Temple.
Indeed, indeed. And I'm going to be just crashing right here into this pedestal to trigger the cutscene. This game's got a couple interesting trick shots, and I'm going to attempt another one here that's actually not consistent. You can aim perfectly fine and it's not consistent, but we're going to attempt to basically rocket the mask down to the pedestal to trigger the cutscene from up here for like a hole-in-one. I've only gotten this ever like a couple times, so if we get it, that's my good RNG coming back. Nice load there. Anyways,
Wow, that is a long one.
yeah. Doesn't help that my switch is like, a launch day switch, dying of old age. Oh, barely
He's
missed
doing
it.
his best.
Just barely grazed the side.
Unfortunate.
It's alright.
Little fun factoid while we watch this cutscene. There are a lot of vehicles that consider you to be in a grounded state when you're on them if certain Zonai devices are fused to them. Which will let the Hyrule Kingdom text trigger even if you're not on the ground.
I wonder how you would know that.
I learned recently Minoru's mask is one of them. So if
Oh,
you
wow.
land on a wing and fuse Minoru's mask to it, you lose.
That must be really annoying for challenge runners who try to beat the whole game without touching the ground.
Well, someone who tries to play the game like that should probably just go outside anyway. So
Do you happen to be outside right now by chance, Snaps?
no.
Just checking in. Just checking in.
I just lost my power like 20 minutes ago. That was wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I dipped out for a second. I
Okay,
wasn't just
well,
mad at what you said.
gonna try another trick shot here. Let's see if we get this one. Wow, very close. We got scanned. Okay.
That should have. Recall it.
There's another runner who does a lot of testing and practice and did a lot of development for this route, and he seems to get it very consistently. I don't know what the secret is.
I would love
gotta
to
practice
see
the
a
trick
cast of
shot.
this game.
Oh goodness, that'd be crazy. Actually, we'd be able to aerofly a lot faster. I think the max limit for TAS BPM for airflight is like 160, 162 BPM, which is very crazy. And that does not account for lag spikes or like anything like that. So it's not really humanly possible. I mean, I guess that's what makes it TAS.
Tears of
yeah.
the Kingdom is kind of like a retro game in a lot of regards, as far as the Switch really struggles to run it at 30 FPS, and lag spikes happen all the
Oh
time.
goodness.
If you're
Just
more
wait till we get to
familiar-
Fire Temple.
Right?
Oh,
If you're more
goodness.
familiar with like Super Mario 64 or other, older 3D games, they'll point the camera in a lot of directions to avoid lag spikes on console. And this game is much the same. The lag spikes are much more pronounced because instead of dropping frames, normally the game opts to just shut down for a solid 2 or 3 seconds. Especially if you're like moving through the overworld too fast. I don't know why they decided that was the way to go. I think it's better. A lot of the particle effects still keep playing and the sound keeps going. Maybe they just decided that was a better user experience than dropping frames.
So I wasn't joking about the puzzle skip here. What we're doing is a glitch called equipment desync, where where the game basically, it thinks that bow is still attached to me. So if I put it on a wing, it'll last through cutscene, and by propping it up in the door there, hopefully we can prop the gate open and just march the part here out the front exit without having to go through the depot puzzle. So we'll be able to tell here in just a sec if we got it. Looks good. The wing's still there, means we got it. So skipping 1 out of 4.
Perfect.
I adamantly refuse to do these puzzles.
I'm seeing a bit of discussion in chat about the version. A lot of all dungeon speedruns are in fact done on 1.1, but this one is being done on 1.0.
Right. This is a new route that's been in development for a while and just basically finished about a month or so ago. And we're not quite sure
So-
if it's completely faster than the current world record route, but it's definitely got a fighting chance. And
Whenever a new route for a new version comes out, it's really impossible to know when it's as close as this is. Oh boy.
so I was supposed to grab some bright bloom seeds, but I forgot.
Bated
It'll stop
breath.
them from. It'll stop these parts from despawning while I go to the other ones. But it's fine. We can just do them one by one. Not a big deal.
So yeah, to finish my thought, just basically, sometimes routes are so close between versions where the only way to know if it's faster is to get a world record quality run.
Yeah, and we're still
So-
working on that. I've been grinding this route quite a bit. Another really good runner, Flower. He's a Chinese runner. He's been getting very good times with this route as well. So we'll see. It may just be not too much longer. We'll get to find out if this record is actually faster.
Hey, I'm heading to Right Leg Depot if anyone needs anything. So what tomfoolery are you engaging in with the wing right here?
As I briefly mentioned earlier, I actually don't fully. This is one of the only glitches in the game that I use that I don't fully understand how it works. Mostly because this strat is pretty new. But also, it's called equipment desync. From what I understand, what it does is you drop one bow and then pause and unpause, and then you drop a second bow and it switches up the bows somehow, and somehow that makes it attached to Link still. So when you put it on a wing, it won't despawn during the cutscene like it normally would if
Are you saying the game gets confused?
I am not saying that. I'm actually adamantly not saying
The cloud gets confused?
the game gets confused. We trick the game into
We tricked the
Thinking.
game into thinking.
yeah.
Classic.
All our favorite glitch explanation buzzwords.
So we actually tricked the programming into
Bad
thinking.
Bad line here. It's alright. Well, now you'll get to see what Snaps was talking about, the FPS drop. We're gonna get some crazy lag ultra handing this thing to the construct body.
Yeah, this is one of the moments where frames are dropped instead of the game pausing. On my first playthrough, I got so confused about the like limb holders not breaking until you got them within a certain range. Because I experienced it in a way where I just happened to be slamming it against the ground when it shattered for the first time, so I thought that's how you did it.
Oh goodness. Very fun, very fun. Alright, so left arm depot here. No surprises. Well, if the wing wants to collaborate. Hello?
This strat is so cool though. I've
There we
never
go.
seen it. So it stops the it stops the gate from closing and destroys the gate's ability to despawn it. Does that protect things from being despawned by Lionel screeches?
Possibly. I've actually never tested this glitch outside of this one specific use case, so it could be useful for other things like that.
Very interesting.
There's a
only
couple other
few
methods.
things in the game that Lionel screeches can't break, and most of them are coincidentally located in the Construct Factory. That's where all those Lionel cages you saw on Twitter were made. They take the U-blocks from the factory area, and just for some reason, this isn't even like a glitch. The programmers just didn't make it so these items you can totally legally grab are broken by things like Gleox or Lionels. The game got confused, I guess.
Oh, we missed the water. That's fine. Because we're going to be babysitting this box anyways. Ideally, we want this one to drop in the water while we go grab the other one, and then we meet it. It kind of floats there on its own. A nice little cruise down the Riviera of darkness.
So, while we're going down the lazy river, I do want to mention like one fun fact. People who have seen Breath of the Wild speedruns a lot might be curious why we're not hitting Link with things really hard. And it's because Tears of the Kingdom introduced a horizontal speed cap. To where if you just slap Link as hard as you can with a tree trunk, he'll only go really fast for like a second. There's no vertical speed cap though, and you can see some really fun things online because of that. But unfortunately, unlike Breath of the Wild, there's just no way to like move really fast horizontally, get the paraglider out, and preserve that speed.
Wait, I
So
do have
that's why
20
things
arrow.
like, oh,
Sorry.
wait, what?
I just noticed. I must have accidentally picked it up while I was duping because you have to press A for the dupes.
Oh,
I was so confused. I was like, I have
only
never
saw
seen a
10.
10 arrow. There was the one on the ground. I must have picked it up earlier, but that's
Secret
good.
arrow duping discovered.
Still bad RNG. We want a 30 ideally, but we can make do with 20. We'll just have to try not to miss too many shots until we get to the Rito section.
We were actually talking before the run, and I asked Cloud if she was going to break out any secret strats that she's been hiding for the marathon. No. Tragically.
Well, I do actually have one thing that I might want to try. It's not a secret strat, but it's just something that I just barely learned a couple days ago, so we might give it a shot.
It'd be one of those things where it's like almost not even ethical to do for an event, where it's like, I have a trick that saves 90 minutes, and I'm going to break it out live.
Oh man, can you imagine turning on like the showcase as like a fellow runner and you're like, why is the estimate only 50% of what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, or even worse, you give a normal estimate, and then the run's just over.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, no. That's why, really, in the speedrun community, you don't see things like that. We're all in this together. It's a team effort. People don't really hide tricks from each other. Sometimes in certain games, you do see people hide, like, routes. Like, they want to debut a route, and that's totally different. But as far as, like, I discovered a way to do this glitch that saves 90 minutes. You don't normally see that. I think Door of Time Skip in Ocarina of Time was originally discovered by someone who then planned on making a full game TAS with it.
Okay.
And then it was discovered by someone else 2 days later, who shared it with everybody.
Karma.
Just
Well,
one of those
yeah.
fun things where it's like, hey, I discovered that. Oh, well, you know, I don't know. Maybe you did.
No vid, no did. That's what I say.
Yeah. I get it, but like a full game task back when Ocarina of Time was like a 4-hour run? Share your secrets. So, Minoru is the most overpowered mech in the game, one-shots everything, super durable, great to use, basically the only thing you'll ever see a player on once they unlock her.
That's a hard no for me. Minoru is my least favorite of the sages.
Yeah, basically the only thing Minoru is good for on 1.0 and 1.1 is item duping. Because of airborne item duplication and the fact that you're always technically airborne as Link when you're on Minoru, it's easy.
Yeah, she's basically like our dupe slave, I guess you could
say she's the dupe po.
I was
Little
thinking of
Construct
like
Factory joke for you.
I was thinking of like those old Pokemon games where you need to keep like an HM slave in your party to like do all those moves. That's basically why we keep her around. She's just for duping. That's it. And actually, she's less than just like useless. Sorry for the Minoru slander, but if she's less than
People
useless,
are clutching the arms of their chair right now. They're furious.
Oh, the humanity. Well, if you interact with her in a wrong way, you can actually soft lock your game, which would require you to, in the speedrun context, restart, and you have to do all those juggles again, which is not great.
Well, not that this would ever affect any, rational person who plays the game the way you should. But what I don't like about Minoru is she only shows up if you're in a grounded state. Weird. She doesn't show up if you're standing on a wing. But that would never affect anybody.
Oh.
This Spirit Temple. We already did the temple. Now it's time for the map icon and the boss. I thought for a while about why it's done this way. Oh, great way to load Minoru up here. I love that.
Yeah, so actually, this is probably a good time to talk about kind of our strategies for the sages.
Yeah.
You know, in Breath of the Wild, you get those champions abilities that you can just activate with, basically specific inputs. But for the sages, they follow you around like clones, and so you have to kind of walk up to them and use their ability. And they can be very tough. It's like herding cats sometimes to get them to come where you need them to be. But we actually have developed strategies for each of the sages to try to get them to spawn in. Some are much more consistent than others. Minoru is one of those ones that she never spawns in when you need her, and she's always there when she's trying to get in the way.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we can strafe side to side and do that scope in a corner if you're like a certain distance away from her to get her to spawn in. So now we're going to be partaking in our first boss fight.
Streamer, you're not on the robot. Why
We
would
don't
you
need the
not want to
robot.
be on the robot?
Because I have the power of friendship and these 8 swords I taped to my hand that we are going to be using instead to defeat the boss. So we're gonna stun him real quick with a bomb shot.
How to defeat C's construct with the power of friendship. Chapter 1, you can't. Chapter 2, 8 swords.
You must think of something else.
Then we're gonna fuse that Lionel part to our weapon. So when you fuse a part to your currently equipped weapon and you have Zuggles attached, it applies that fuse part to every single one of those swords that we have in the stack. So take that fuse damage, plus the halberd, plus the 8, plus whatever it is. I am not a math person, but if somebody there wants to crunch the numbers, that's a lot of damage.
It is. And fun fact, you're supposed to defeat C's construct by knocking it into the electrical wire bordering every part of the arena, but for some reason, every attack you deal does a tiny amount of damage. And because of that, if you're dealing, I don't know, exponentially more damage than you should be doing, you can just hit it to death.
Very satisfying. And there we can tell like we got our Zuggles correctly because otherwise we wouldn't have the correct damage. But we're going to be just setting up a couple things here real quickly for some upcoming glitches. We gotta get our pocket rocket back. And then we'll be finishing off our first dungeon finally after all that setup. An hour plus into the run. But we'll be rushing the rest of them, don't worry. And actually, now would probably be a good time for our scheduled drink.
Yeah, perfect. So during these longer runs, we like to take breaks every hour, so just everybody get up, stretch, get some water, anything like that. So we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and then we'll be back with more of the run.
Aha. Long ago.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. Tonight we are showcasing a Tears of the Kingdom all dungeon speedrun. We're right in the middle of it, so I'll just hand it right back over to you whenever you're ready. If you just want to give a quick 3, 2, 1.
Aha. Well then. Aha.
Oh yeah, sure. 3,
Well then.
2, 1.
Alrighty, so we just finished the first, but should be last dungeon in the Spirit Temple Construct Factory. So where are we heading next?
Next, we are finally completed pretty much all of our setup, and we can just rush the dungeons from here on out. So this is my favorite part of the speedrun. Once we complete here, we can just cruise through the rest of the game. We're going to be heading to the Water Temple next for the Zora quest line. But first, we're going to pick up one more item here, the Ancient Blade. That'll come in handy later.
I was about to ask, is there any special reason to prioritize the Spirit Temple first?
The main thing is the items that you get. There's the Lionel right there for the strong weapon fuse, for the Savage Lionel bow, for the arrow drops. There's the topaz and the halberd right there. There's the dispenser right there that has the carts and the steering sticks that we need to make the rest of the game faster. Speaking of carts, we're about to show off a new glitch that I would guess a lot of people have not seen, even if you're quite familiar with Tears of the Kingdom speedrunning. This replaces a glitch that was used in the other version of the game.
Alrighty, let's see it.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta try that again.
So, the astute viewer might have noticed that we did not and will not be getting auto-build. If you're familiar with Tears of the Kingdom runs, you might be wondering how we plan on getting around quickly without auto-build cancel.
Well, I will show you. This is what we call a cart slide or magic carpet, as I like to refer to it. So we can get the collision for this weapon stuck underneath the cart and just flying.
There we go. Now on 1.0 in particular, this is much faster than auto build cancel flying, right?
So the actual glitch itself, you compare them side by side. They come out pretty even. If anything, cart slide is a little bit quicker. But getting auto build itself takes easily 2 to 3 minutes. So skipping that and just using overload, like I did there to drop a weapon there at my feet, it saves quite a bit of time over that route. Although the auto build does
We're approaching my
save time in
beloved.
other areas. Zora's Domain or the Blood Moon in 3,
Sidon.
2, 1. Sidon. Oh goodness.
So,
I have
whenever you approach one of the 4 regions in Tears of the Kingdom for the first time, you trigger just like a panic blood moon. It's only one of the 4, the first that you approach. Do you know why that happens?
It's a story trigger thing, I'm pretty sure. I
Huh.
don't know if it's any more complicated than that.
Well, I think it might be because there goes the cart. I think it might be because blood moons don't happen on GSI. So maybe they just want to make sure that like sooner rather than later one of those starts, because even the timer for them doesn't begin until you touch the surface for the first time. So maybe
That
you're
makes
right.
sense.
Maybe they just want to like have it so if you're like 7 or 8 hours into the game and head back to GSI, like the enemies are back. Fun fact
be.
though, constructs are actually on a separate respawn timer than blood moons. Maybe because they're not like minions of Ganon. And they also don't respawn until you have the surface map on your map. And that's probably so like things don't come back on GSI, if I had to guess. I can't think of any other reason they would have for that.
I was waiting until you were going to share that piece of esoteric knowledge.
Yeah, I was so surprised to learn that constructs are on a completely different reset timer, and unlike blood moons, which can be forced by overloading the game and causing the game to panic and reload the entire area with a blood moon, there's no way to force a construct respawn. So if you, I don't know, are avoiding getting the surface layer on your map for some reason, you don't get them back. Range! So we are heading up to see Sidon. I guess Cloud isn't a big fan, but that's demonstrably just
He's a
an
problem
unpopular
child.
opinion.
He's a problem child in this speedrun. Casually, he's fine. I really love his Sage ability. And it's actually required for the speedrun to activate the terminals inside Water Temple. But he has some issues with spawning that have been mostly solved. But we'll see
He's
if he
also
wants to
very
cooperate with us.
helpful. He's also very helpful in the Elden and Death Mountain depths areas that
Very
are
true.
on fire, because if you enter an extreme heat area, Link will spontaneously combust after 5 seconds of extreme heat. But if you are like dripping wet, you actually get 20 seconds of fire immunity, and Sidon's water ability comes back well before 20 seconds. So as long as you like just high five Sidon every 30 seconds or so, you're more than fine to completely skip the Flame Breaker set or any kind of like fire resistance potion.
It's very handy, and that is a part of the reason why we do Water Temple before Fire Temple.
Yeah, it's not that you couldn't do Fire Temple without Sidon's ability, but it would involve some solution to the heat. And in this case, you just don't need one, because Sidon is the solution.
Actually, in the all main quests category of this game, you actually do Fire Temple before Water Temple.
What do
Just
they
the way
do?
just the way they're running works out. You just dupe a bunch of extra fairies and
Yeah,
just tank the heat.
just tank it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just said some solution. That is
It's
definitely
not
a
an elegant
solution.
right? It's not the most elegant, but hey, it gets the job done. So we're just going through some of these required sequence checks to progress the Zora quest. We can make our way up to Water Temple. Nothing super exciting here, but I am actually doing a slight route change that I've only done one run with so far, which is the Shrine Skip. Normally we grab that warp point up there and then warp back to it, but we're actually going to skip that. It saves about 15 seconds or so by doing some alternative movement instead
Let her
for this
cook.
category. So now we're going to be getting a... speaking of sequence breaks, we're going to be getting an item that is the bane of trying to sequence break this game, and that is the King Scale, because we need the King Scale to complete a specific puzzle, to progress a specific quest. And if we didn't
You
have
hate
this,
puzzles.
we could just go there straight away and complete the puzzle, skipping like 50% of the quest. But it requires this one specific item that you can't get anywhere else but from progressing the quest and talking to the king. So here we are, doing some chores. Where's the spot? Here we go.
Listen, in a game as open as this, sometimes you just need to be told to eat your vegetables. Like, do a little bit of a quest, solve a puzzle. Maybe you'll like it. That is one long ascend.
It is, but it's faster than grabbing the shrine and warping.
What?
Here's that puzzle on Floating Scales Island. And there you go. Thank you, King Scale. You served your one purpose that we wasted like 10 minutes getting to. The Zora quest in particular is very frustrating because we spent a lot of time trying to find ways to speed up this quest. So now we're gonna do a little bit of a mini boss fight before we head over to our next section. And about 90% of the way through this quest, there's a terminal we have to activate, and you can actually clip underground out of bounds and get there early. And you can even, like, the terminal is open. You can just walk right up to it, and you can even press A to, like, interact with it, but it just doesn't do anything. Oh, man. I had this big idea that we're going to be able to skip 90% of the Zora quest, and then you just mash A and the terminal doesn't do anything.
That's unfortunate. The big factoid I was about to share got shut down by big internet, but I'm back.
Welcome back. We missed you.
Just
They don't
what I was
want
gonna
the people to know the truth. That's
when you use Ascend, all of the like texture in the entire game is just turned off, so you can't see the collision you're moving through, and like a little animation plays. That's all I was gonna say. I think it's harmless, but you know, big internet.
They don't want you to know the truth.
Yeah, so that's why that Ascend took a super long time, because you just actually were going quite a long way. That's why ascending out of the depths takes so long too.
There we go. Interesting RNG on the way his head fell to kind of walk at the sledge a little bit, but there we go.
That was supposed to be a boss. That was supposed to be something. It trained for this.
Rest in peace, Sludge. Like, you tried your best, but you can't compete with my ultimate weapon.
What if it got to do its attack 1,000-fold? Would you like that?
Goodness, I would not. Okay, creepy fact here. I don't know if I should be saying this. If anybody's just eaten, I recommend stop eating and never eat again.
What?
If you didn't know this, the likes, they actually have feet. They have little stubby like paws on the underside. If you go out of bounds, you can see their little feet, and they just like munch around. It's super disgusting. And I'm sorry you had to hear it like this. But if you don't believe me, go look up what it looks like. It's very creepy and weird, in my opinion.
Why did Glenn at Nintendo make those?
Who knows?
Some jobs really are thankless.
Goodness. Well, we're gonna be grabbing our one and only piece of clothing. Link, we like to skip armor if possible for speedruns, but we can give him one little piece of armor as a treat because we needed to get into Gerudo Town later on, and Zora armor just happens to be the fastest and the most useful because we can also use it to climb up waterfalls just like in Breath of the Wild.
No shirt, no shoes, no service. Just no shoes? You can come in.
They don't mind if he's not wearing his pants, but if they see him without a
Yeah.
shirt on, straight to jail. Literally, they just throw you in a cell.
Very fun part of Gerudo Town and Tears of the Kingdom is that unlike Breath of the Wild, Link does actually have a certified girl card. He's allowed to be there, but he has to wear a shirt. And it
Very
really just
true.
has to be any item that is equipped on like the middle part of your body. So they don't care about anything else.
Yeah, the term shirt, we are using a very loose definition here for sure. But yeah, we need this for later, and it's also just, you know, convenient because I grabbed that ancient arowana at the very beginning so that we can trade it to Yona for this.
There is nothing like cuter than Sidon's little whistle that he has around his neck. Is he a lifeguard? The
I've
people
always wondered
deserve
the
to
same
know.
thing. He'd
Is
probably
he
make a
like
pretty good
training
lifeguard.
little Zora to swim? Don't they get mad if you put on the Yiga outfit? I don't know. Science needs to answer that.
They do, I think. Although I don't know if it's you're wearing the full suit or just one part, but they do throw you in jail if they see you wearing it.
They're like, dude.
And
Not
then
cool.
and then Buliara, the guard, she's like, come on, man.
So this is the terminal that ruined your life.
Yep, this is the one.
Introduce yourself.
But yeah.
When I first got to Waterworks, I thought it was gonna be the dungeon.
I did
Then it
too,
wasn't.
actually. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I thought we had reached Water Temple.
Yeah, I thought so too. I had just done Wind Temple, so I was excited for a dungeon not in the sky. And then I was like, all the dungeons in this game are going to be in the sky. And then none of the rest were. You gotta
I guess
give the
that just
game a
depends
chance.
on your play order. It's funny that there's actually only one dungeon that's actually on the surface map. There's Lightning Temple.
Yeah, my pet theory for that is just because where else would you put it? You know? But the
I
desert
mean,
area is just so empty. Not in a bad way, but it's just like a pretty big square that you could put a dungeon in. Because, like, in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, all of the dungeons are in the real world. They're not a loading zone. So it's not like an Ocarina of Time where you can just have a loading zone and then put whatever you want there.
yeah.
Every room needs to take up a real amount of finite overworld space. And there just is a lot more of that in the sky and in the depths.
For sure. I'm sure they also wanted to showcase their brand new areas as
Oh
well.
yeah, for sure.
But as you can see, we're in the low gravity area now, which makes Pocket Rocket a lot more efficient. We can get up here in just half or a third of the normal boost that we would need to do.
Pocket Rocket and low gravity are the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it can be a little bit annoying to move around in other ways if you're not used to it, but it is convenient. And now we're finally at Water Temple.
And if you're curious, fall damage is still a thing in low gravity. It's just weird.
Oh, the
Normally
laggy
don't
map.
run into it.
The other nice thing about low gravity is, so you know, they made the change for when you're shooting in bullet time, like the slow-mo midair, right? In Breath of the Wild, it's just like it constantly starts draining your stamina from the moment you enter bullet time. But in Tears of the Kingdom, they changed it so it only like uses your stamina when you actually shoot something, which I think is a great change personally. But in the low gravity
Oh,
era,
yeah.
you use like half stamina or something for bullet time shots. Very, very nice.
That's great.
Nice touch there, and it comes in handy as well.
All right,
For
so
our
Water
boss
Temple.
fight.
You said easiest part of the run, no worry. You could actually do it while solving a Rubik's Cube in one of your hands.
Not quite.
Oh, no.
Actually, Water Temple, all the dungeons are kind of difficult to some degree. Well, except for Lightning Temple, but we'll get there when we get there. Water Temple, we are going to see our first use of steering stick clips, which you may be familiar with from other categories, although I don't think they really get much use until now. But, so, since we haven't even talked about Overload at all. So another side benefit of getting those 8 swords taped to my hand is that it pushes me towards what we call the overload threshold, which is just the amount of items the game can actually track on Link's body at once. So when you're above the overload threshold, it has a bunch of wacky effects. Like that's how I was able to drop a drop a claymore and do the cart slide. And if you try to mount a steering stick while in the overloaded state, you will just clip straight through the floor, which is very convenient if there is something below you that you need to access, as is the case in Water Temple. So we have 4 terminals, and we will only be doing the actual puzzle for one of them. And the first clip here is very tough to get the timing, and if I miss it, it's going to lose about a minute or so. So we'll try to clutch it up here.
All right.
We gotta
Let's
kill
see
that
this.
guy as like a spawn manip for Sidon to get over here faster. He's scared of that choo-choo, I guess. Gotta make sure to switch to Ultra Hand as well. So activate the bubble and equip. His bubble's on a timer as well.
Wow.
We barely got it. Oh my god. That jump there scared me.
Whoa.
Normally if you jump there, you run out of time. I was gonna say the bubble timer is still counting down during the cutscene, and you have a long way to fall. Whew. Actually, getting that jump there is usually a bad sign, because it means you're spamming X to pull out the paraglider, but... So now we can actually just leave the room here. But yeah, I got very lucky. I got very lucky.
This would be the time for thunderous applause, because that is way harder than it looks.
Yeah, agreed. Now we're gonna cheese this puzzle here too. Just drain the water. You're supposed to go grab an orb from down there. I don't have time for that. We're gonna place another steering stick here. This terminal is definitely the most annoying because Minoru gets here first and she gets in the way, and my fish prince will not spawn in.
Is there?
There he is. And I gotta make extra careful to actually grab the stick instead of grab Minoru, because like I said, it can soft lock if you ride Minoru while you're overloaded.
Is there a
So I gotta
reason
make
we
sure I'm
can't
actually
just
melting
turn
this.
Minoru off?
You can, but we need her later, so it's time lost. Although, when I was first learning the route, I did turn her off for Water Temple.
Yeah, because, like, if she's causing problems,
Speaking of
maybe
soft
she
lock,
just needs to play nice.
we actually have to take a specific path here behind these waterfall to stop the game from culling Link. And I won't get into all of what that means, but basically, he gets like Thanos snapped into the void, and you can't do anything, and it's a soft lock. It's because it's
Right.
a side effect of the stick clips that we're doing.
Yeah, so we did a lot of overloading, and that's what makes it so when you grab onto the stick, or anything for that matter, you kind of just fall through collision. The problem is, when the game has too much loaded in, it wants to get rid of stuff to help manage the Switch's, very desperate processor. And one of the things on the table for removal is Link himself. The game will just readily remove the player character from existence. And at that point, you have to save and reset. I don't know why they would remove Link before anything else.
It's partially because the game thinks you're still on the steering stick. So if the steering stick like despawns in any sort of way, then Link despawns along with it for some twisted reason.
Man.
And there's levels to it as well. Like some culling, you can just warp away. Some you have to close the game.
To kind of give a what is culling to the layperson, anything that's not on screen typically is unloaded to save processing power, especially for games on weaker hardware like this. And sometimes the game can get convinced important things should get unloaded, and that is what we're avoiding by going into specific areas or avoiding other areas. But typically, if you turn around and aren't looking at an actor, for example, they're probably unloaded.
There we go. Alright, and we land up top there first just to get Sidon to spawn in quicker before jumping to do those terminal shots. But yeah, the Water Temple route, and that's the last terminal, we're gonna go fight the boss now, but this Water Temple route is pretty new, and I did a lot of the work on it myself, so it feels good to show it off, even though it wasn't perfectly clean. Actually, missing that third terminal there is not very common. That's one of the easier ones, but hey, we got the hard one, so it's
I don't
fine.
know. Feels squeaky clean to me. It's the Water Temple.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see myself out.
Please, no, I'm just kidding. So now we get to fight Mr. Mukdurok here. He's a fan favorite in my chat. We love Mukdurok.
I I don't personally view Muktarok as much of a boss. Because
Well, in the speedrun,
and
he
that's
certainly
it.
isn't.
He
In the
just lives
speedrun,
up
he
here.
certainly isn't. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's just.
Wait, is he jumping to the middle to be dead?
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Get you man that commits.
Basically, every boss in this game is just a cycle of expose their weakness, then one-shot them.
I think the bosses in this game are great. I
I
love
think
them.
they are too. So I'm almost sad we don't get to see more of them in a speedrun context, but just almost.
We definitely didn't need 17 more elemental Ganons. Just in my opinion.
Nay, I like the blights. They're fun.
I like how you can just absolutely decimate them. Especially one particular blight. But I don't, like, enjoy them. I don't know. I like it when bosses have distinct identities and are defeated in, like, unique ways. And have... I don't know. I don't want to say the word distinct again.
Unique, different.
I like when bosses
Fun.
are like every game other than Breath of the Wild.
Fair qualifier. Nice long load here. Okay,
Someone in chat says they peaked a little too early with Colgera. That is an awesome boss.
Colgera is pretty great, and he's actually also unique in the speedrun too. That we can't just expose his weak point and then one
On your
shot him.
first playthrough, did you dive through his weak points or shoot them?
I had no idea that was possible, and not only did I shoot them, I thought you had to shoot them with fire to break the ice first. So I was like micromanaging my fire fruit, and I hit the very last weak point with my last fire fruit, and I had like a couple arrows left. It was very heroic.
So like,
I clutched it out.
and I'm not trying to like put you on Baja Blast in front of, you know, a bunch of people, but on your way up to the Wind Temple, when the game kept making you dive through little spheres of ice, and then you saw a boss that had those on them, like, what was the thought process there? Why'd you shoot it?
Well, I guess there really wasn't much of a thought process at all. I was very tunnel visioned on getting to the boss. I wasn't really paying
No, I
attention that
gotcha.
much.
I was giving you like some crap there, but really just I find it really fascinating that no matter which one the person does, they didn't think of the other one. When I saw runners shooting it, I literally like dropped my drink. I was like, "What?" Because
You
I
can
just
do
dove
that?
through it 3 times.
Yeah, the dive is very cool, and I had to go back and do and fight the boss again, just diving. I'm really glad that they let you do rematches with the bosses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very, very fun.
Do the ones in the depths come back with blood moons? They do,
They
right?
do.
With, like
They
little
do, yeah.
skull icons.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
nothing beats the abject horror of just absentmindedly wandering around the depths and you're like, wait, why do I hear
Right?
boss music?
If I had a nickel for every Zelda game that is built on the engine of a previous, that only has like 4 dungeons and the bosses are refightable, I'd have 2. Because Majora's Mask lets you refight the bosses as well, and I love that.
Any Majora's Mask fans
Nope, not a
in the
single
building
one.
tonight? Not a single
Bunch
one.
of people that love Zelda and speedruns, and no one likes Majora's Mask.
Oof.
Except everyone.
Might be a
What
hot
a
take there.
question is that?
But yeah, we gotta go slow here so we can get enough height to clear the ridge. You can actually rocket up to the ridge first and then set up the cart slide, which is about 5 seconds faster on paper. But then Minoru decides to show up and she just completely blocks you, and so it
Yet
ends up not
another
being faster.
reason to
But
put
you
her
could turn
in
me off.
timeout.
Yeah, we will soon though. Her usefulness is quickly coming to an end after this next section here. She'll be going back in the Pokeball,
Oh,
and we will
no.
not be seeing her again.
Well, that's starting to sound like... Is she gonna be okay?
She'll be just fine. Don't worry about it.
Didn't like that tone either. Alright, so I know where we're going. We're going to Uniboko.
That's
He's
right.
a nice boy. A fine young man. Who's just doing a bit of, you know,
Luchador
crime.
cosplay.
Yeah, well,
Crime. Another word for it. But yeah, we're heading over to the Goron City to start and also completely finish the Fire Temple quest, the Sage of Fire quest, I guess you could call it.
I destroyed a lot of people's whole lives by saying you can dive through Kogera. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I was only teasing Cloud for not getting it. You're all really smart.
Sure. It's okay, chat. Just know that if you're one of those people that didn't get it, you're in good company. Well, if you consider me to be good company.
Well, I
then
mean, she's the runner, and I'm just giving commentary. So, like, maybe shooting it means you're faster and better.
Well, in that one specific instance, maybe not quite. I was like, man, I have one more fire fruit left. If I miss this shot, I gotta reload. Everything's riding on this one shot. I gotta hit it. Bam,
Not
we
to
glitched
hammer on
out.
it too hard, but I think if you're in a situation where you're like, the game's not giving me replacement resources, then, like, maybe you don't actually need the resource. It's really not
Yeah.
in Zelda's nature, typically, especially in modern games, to require an item for, like, an enemy or a boss and then not give it to you.
There we go. Nice one.
Fire fruit arrows do make sense, though.
I was like, ice. You shoot ice with fire. I have fire fruit. We can do this.
I also just thought, I got a bod. I'm gonna just ram my bod into it. And that worked. It also just works in the grocery store line, works in most situations.
Don't try this at home, I guess. Normally the
Well, try it at the
commentator's supposed
grocery
to be the
store.
one saying don't try this at home. But yeah, so up here we've got a scripted fight segment. Fight in huge quotes because he takes 3 hits. And that's even without using the juggled weapons. With you mind controlled Yunobo here. And it's on a cycle that we can't really skip. So we're gonna use this time to finish duplicating the rest of the items that we need for the run. And this is the only place where Minoru actually comes in handy. Other than that, I'm a hater.
Certified Minoru hater, imagine it. In 2024, hating Minoru. Couldn't be me. If Minoru has one fan, I'm that fan.
Oof.
The robot is bad, though. Not very good for fighting.
Kind of an L take if we're being honest with ourselves.
Kind of an L take.
Alright, so now
I get tackled off the mic.
put in bad take jail for you.
Bad take jail. Streamer, you're on fire.
That's fine. Here's it, and slap. Okay, I guess she's good for slapping Yunobo, but to be fair, literally anything could damage that guy, so I don't count it. No.
In anything, dupe items that fast and slap Yunobo. Is all I'm saying. Some loud silence there.
Oh, sorry, I'm just
Session.
focusing. I'm focusing. This duping section is really intense. Hello? 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 Miss Robot? Thank you. Oh. Rare time loss because... See? And this is why I'm a hater. She just wouldn't spawn in, and I need to finish.
I didn't see
in here.
anything. I was reading chat. Minoru for life.
She took like 40 years to spawn in, and I missed the cycle, and I think I'm gonna miss this one too. No, I'm fine. There you go.
It's gonna be okay. The sun will come up, alright? Minoru will be turned off.
I'm seething right now.
It's gonna be okay. You just don't even sweat it.
Yeah, we're good.
How many topazes
worry
does
about
one
him.
woman need?
30 to 35. I was
Wow.
trying to bait chat into using a specific emote, and it looks like it worked. Good job, guys. Thank you.
Hear that? You hear that, guys? Pickup artists out there, don't even think about approaching someone unless you have 35 topazes. And that's like the baseline.
I'm high maintenance. What can I say?
Few people have pointed it out, but I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. Wonderful secret stone necklace you have going on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
I'm just all about it.
I wore this last time I did a live run, and people seemed to like it, so I thought I'd bust it out again for tonight. It was either that or a full Zelda cosplay, and I didn't feel like dressing up.
It would have been so... It'd be such a statement, though.
Maybe for Flame Fatales. For those of you that may not know, if you type !FF command in chat, you can learn about this cool event GDQ's doing next month, where I'm also going to be running this game. So be sure to check that out as well and go support our women and femme speedrunners. And if I didn't make it clear enough, I will be there. Please come watch, or I will be sad.
But is Tears of the Kingdom going to be there? Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I will be running all Legends at that event. So basically, you're getting a sneak peek
Nice.
to next month.
It's like I'm already there.
Indeed.
Oh, I hate it when a lag spike happens on a Pocket Rocket Puff. If you're not on top of it, you're gonna lose all your battery life.
Yeah, so my method here is I'm like sliding my thumb from A to B. A to the shield serve and B to quickly cancel so it doesn't use up all my juice. But yeah, like Snaps mentioned, you can get a lag spike which makes you miss the cancel, and then it just burns all your juice during the world load, or once you come out of the world load, rather.
All right, most controversial question of the run. How do you pronounce the name of this boss? I say Moragia.
I do too.
All right, because it's like Volvagia.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
clearly
yeah.
what they're harkening back to.
That's what I thought too. That's what I immediately thought of. I
I
actually really
get,
like
I
this one.
understand like Moragia or something, but I don't know. Not about that life.
Because
A lot of people
Luigi.
make fun of my pronunciations of Zelda things, and it's like, I guess it's just speedrunner pronunciations. People make fun of me for saying Buck Hoblin. Yeah, that's what the commentaries for Twilight
Okay, well
Princess-
that one is a little bit suspect if you ask me.
Well, I don't recall asking you, but thank you. So
Snipe here. So, oh,
I love this strat.
I got scammed.
Oh, I don't
It's all
love that
good.
part of it though. You're getting knocked around.
Yeah. So going back to what we were saying about, oh, I got scammed again. They just knocked my wing out from underneath me. This is a concerted attack on my well-being.
Yeah, I think you have grounds to sue at this point. This is a reckless disregard for human life.
There we go. See if we can get a snipe here. Gotta make up some lost time.
Agia, more like Moron Gia. Someone clip that.
Alright, we'll just do another wing here. Because we're about to get hit by those flying meatballs. So
Thank
yeah.
God there's not another boss in the game with random flying projectiles that could ruin your entire life. But that one's time-based.
We'll get there when we get there. Anyways, not the cleanest, but yeah. So going back to what we were mentioning about guaranteed ways to get the sages to spawn in, Yunobo is actually one of my favorite sages in the run because all you have to do is mount a vehicle and he instantly spawns in. And just riding a wing counts as mounting a vehicle, so we can rocket jump onto a wing or paraglide onto a wing to get him to instantly spawn in and just defeat the boss that way.
If I'm not mistaken, doesn't he get on a wing faster if it's in the air, though?
I believe he does, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, if
Like-
it's not in the air, he won't get on at all, unless you
Right.
like mount a steering stick on it or something.
Right, because then it's a vehicle. It's not
Mhm.
considered like a vehicle if it's just chilling.
Pretty much.
So you didn't come here in advance and do the light routes. Little silly. Eggs on your face right now.
No time for
Can't
that.
see anything.
No time for that. We gotta go quick. So actually, there's one annoying thing about Yunobo that I don't like. Other than that, he's like a great sage. And that's the fact that so we want to be able to do a cart slide here to get over to Fire Temple rather than rocketing. Or we tried that idea, but then because that whole vehicle thing, Yunobo spawns on the cart and he makes it too heavy, and so the cart slide fails. But even if you do a card slide without him, it still apparently ends up not being like that much faster. So I guess it works out. Now I need siding. There we go.
He's
Like
too
we
good at his
discussed
job.
earlier. Yeah, he's too
Suffering
diligent.
from success.
Exactly. Like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be using Sidon's Water Bubble. We can actually just tank the damage with Fairies, but on version 1.0, there's one specific trick we need to do at towards the very end of Fire Temple that requires the bubble to pull off.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Fire Temple itself doesn't require a light route. If it did, no doubt Cloud would still ignore it, and we wouldn't be able to see the entire dungeon.
Fair,
So,
fair.
Anuma
Wait.
prepared for this moment, protected us, great viewing experience.
They did that with Varudania in Breath of the Wild, right? You go in and the window's all shut and it's completely dark. Super
Yeah, that was
spooky.
super cool. I
I like
remember
that dungeon a lot.
I loved in Rudania like getting out and like knocking an arrow and it being a fire arrow
Yeah,
because it's
that's
just
very
so
fun.
hot. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't understand why like my weapons wouldn't be on fire if my arrow is, but it's whatever.
Well, the wooden ones, they do burn. But do
Yeah,
they
but,
burn
like,
inside, like the interior?
Okay, so the question is, why is like the flint on the end of the arrow burning, but the stick of the arrow isn't, like the stem, or the feathers?
Probably to conserve animation assets would be my guess.
Also, to people
The meta
asking, I
answer.
did just describe a Minecraft arrow. I don't know what real arrows are made out
A
of.
flint.
I did just use flint, stick, and feather.
I was thinking, oh no, you said that, and I was thinking of Tears of the Kingdom, like fusing a piece of flint to an arrow, and I was like, I don't know why that would burn, but go off, Queen.
I was like, I just described a Minecraft arrow. Maybe if you keep talking really confidently with a YouTuber voice, no one will notice. Until you
Oh,
point it.
man. That's gotta be the secret to success at life, yeah.
Oh, bomb arrows are really useful against Fire Blight. Unfortunately, they're more useful against Link.
Oh man, that's a classic Breath of the Wild troll right there. Like, hey guys, if you haven't fought Fireblight, you should try using bombs. They're super useful. Or what is it?
We've all seen the cleric video of
Yeah,
using
bomb
like
arrows.
5,000 bomb arrows to get up to that divine beast on your own.
I think it's a bit of a running joke in the Breath of the Wild community. But yeah, so our strats for Fire Temple here, I'll go ahead and explain real quick while we're in the cutscene. We're going to be going to each of these terminals instead of shooting them with Sidon's ability. We shoot them with Unova's ability, which will hit like a gong to open each one. We're going to be dropping wings strategically to get him to spawn in and basically snipe the midair. So we got some more trick shots coming up. If you didn't appreciate the ones from before on Great Sky Island, we got some more trick shots that I'll be trying to hit here.
These ones are sick. You pocket rocket up, summon a wing, and then shoot Unibo into them.
And
No
try not to
nuts.
fall in the lava and respawn halfway across the dungeon. That has
Well.
happened to me many a time.
People in chat are calling me really smart, saying those are how arrows are made. That's what I'm reading. Just figured so those on YouTube now.
Well, we
That
did the
everyone's
exact
calling me
thing that
really
we tried
smart.
not to do. Quick, distract the audience. They didn't see me just fall in the lava.
I have to make sure YouTube knows. That's fantastic.
You voided out and went back to the start of the temple. That's not something you said could happen.
Keep telling jokes. Hurry.
No, I'm very interested. Oh, well, it's still gone.
Yeah, we'll just wait here for it. There he is. We're gonna get the dumb cutscene trigger, yeah. Okay, so if you go too close to the first gong, he gives you that little bit of dialogue.
No.
He can do it mid-roll. Man, I've had times where I get the trick shot and he's mid-roll, but the wing went too far. And so he literally stops like at breakneck speed on a dive to like talk to Link for a split second and then just doesn't keep rolling. Like, come on, man.
All right, next three are gonna go great though. I believe in you.
Works.
This is such a fun dungeon, even casually. This was I think it was like the third one I did, and I really appreciated how open it was, but also how it felt more traditional than most of Breath of the Wild's and even the earlier Tears of the Kingdom ones I'd played.
Yeah, I felt so as well. I also felt like Fire Temple is like the most cheesable dungeon casually.
Oh yeah, it's just open, you know. The Lightning Temple, it's this open for you and me, but it's not supposed to be this open, you know.
There we go. We're fine.
Ah,
Don't even worry about it. We just gotta make sure we don't fall in the lava again. Dramatic irony. Please don't strike me down. We're good.
it's only dramatic irony if the person witnessing it knows it's going to happen. Are you gonna dive into the lava?
Not intentionally, but I am pretty cursed
Rascal?
at times. Alright, so good. Terminals there. The last one is the one that requires the bubble, so we'll have to wait for our prince to spawn in. There he is. Please don't go fight the guy. Thank you. You gotta not get smacked. Oh goodness. Well,
Goma is
unfortunate Z target there. He just whipped right around, and now we gotta wait for sighting because I need the bubble here. The timer ran out.
dang. Marble
Thankfully-
Goma is like the one boss that I think really suffers from the boss rush arena because it's not like a Beyblade sphere.
Oh,
Because it's
quick
so
spawn.
fun sending Unibo up around the ceiling and whatnot, and if you fight Marble Goma during Army, it's just not the same.
Very true, very true. I was gonna show off a cool strat I came up with to get an instant spawn there, but he spawned in too quickly, so I didn't get to show it off.
I genuinely didn't know you could like knock and fire a bomb arrow here. Oh, I'm so. You were wet.
What's your hand here?
That's why. You
So that actually only works if you have Sidon's bubble
Yeah.
on 1.0.
'Cause I was
Otherwise, the bomb's too volatile.
And you literally explained that, and then I was still like, that's so weird.
Please come back. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we get on a vehicle there both to resync Link from doing the clip, so Yunobo will spawn in, and then also to get an instant spawn. So we get a little bit of
Perfect.
creative building here, and now we're going to gun down the boss here.
It's so cool that every boss in this game is programmed to be taken out by just Link, and also like Link and his Sage buddy.
Oh,
Or, like
unfortunate.
this.
Yeah, I'm getting comboed right now. I think I was a bit too close.
Oh!
I was trying to put away my bow. Oh, wow! There's a lot
Going to
of-
Marble Goma's combo video.
The game was running at like 7 frames per second.
On
There we go.
Switch 2, it's gonna run at 8.
We can only hope. But yeah, so what happened there was I was a little bit too close. I didn't want to get shocked with a topaz and lose my bow, so I was trying to put it away, but then I exited bullet time a bit too soon. Phase 2 is thankfully a bit simpler. With 4 arrows to spare. I was also trying not to miss any shots too because we are running very light on our arrow count.
I always
And
love
that
a good
is Fire
Goma.
Temple.
Classic Goma. Put a spider on a ceiling. That's Zelda.
Zelda fans will just eat that up any day of the week. So actually, to go in a little bit more detail about that bomb strat we did on the last terminal. So on version 1.1.1, bombs interact differently on version 1.0 compared to later versions. So if you're running the other route on version 1.1.1, you don't need the bubble. And I don't know if you even need to be wet at all or have the wet status effect. You can just shoot the bomb in bullet time. But on 1.0, the bombs are incredibly more volatile, and so they just blow up instantly. And not even the normal wet status will prevent that. It has to be Sidon's bubble because it's like the strongest, or it applies the most wet factor. I don't know the technical term, but basically you need the bubble to do the shooty trick that makes the game fast. Hope that helps.
The game got confused.
As they say. Yeah, and they're just like that. We are halfway done with the dungeons, but we're definitely well more than halfway through the speedrun. Next, we're going to be heading to Wind Temple to complete the Sage of Wind Rito quest with everybody's favorite, the fan favorite sage Tolan, who gets some decent use in this category as well. And the Rito section is pretty quick. There's not a lot of hoops we have to jump through or dialogue sections to do.
Yeah. I think it's the one a lot of people did first, too. Probably because the huge cloud, just the big spinning column, drew a lot of people in.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know,
I
it
feel
just
like
seems like most people I talked to did, like, Zora's Domain first in Breath of the Wild, and, like, Rito Village first in Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah, I get the sense that the game kind of tries to push you to do those first in their respective games. Because I remember at Lookout Landing, they mentioned something like, "Oh, you should go check out the Rito area or whatever." And I was like,
Yeah, I
"Okay,
think it's
sure."
literally when Pura, like, gives you the regional phenomenon quest, the camera is angled in such a way that
It shows the big
the
old
Wind
storm
Temple is,
cloud.
like, in view.
Yeah,
They're not subtle. And in Breath of the Wild, there are Zora all over the overworld, like, telling you they need your help.
okay, we're good. My angle is a bit off there. Doesn't matter. Card slides are typically not super hard to steer. This slide here is the longest one in the run, so I'm actually gonna do the same trick that we did earlier and look up for lag reduction. These card slides are very stable with the build I'm using and the weapon I have fused to it. So there's a very low chance it will break midair, but there is always that small chance, so just gotta be careful.
It'd
If
be
it
less
breaks,
stable if you had gyro on.
that's true. I do keep gyro off for this run. Although I do
So
use it for
tragic.
other categories like any percent. I like having gyro.
I love gyro. And just having to turn it off for things like auto build cancel, so sad.
Yeah. Actually, in 100% runs, a lot of runners will keep it on and then they'll just turn it off to do the clip and then turn it right back on.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot of people saying they didn't do the dungeons in the order I just said. Someone said they did Wind Temple last.
That's kind
I
of
think I would have
base,
been
actually.
disappointed. Like, I think Lightning Temple has the best puzzles. You know?
Lightning Temple was great. Honestly, I feel like I did my favorite two first. I did wind and then lightning, and then I did fire. I was gonna do fire last, but I did fire last in my first Breath of the Wild playthrough, so I was like, I can't shaft that section
I
again.
did
So
Fire last in Breath of the Wild, yeah. I don't know, I went purely vibes based.
pretty much same actually. But yeah, the Gerudo section's really fun. Casually, I would say my favorite dungeon might be Wind Temple. But in the speedrun context, it's gotta be Lightning Temple hands down, and you guys will see why later.
Because you skip all of its awesome puzzles, probably. Puzzle hater?
I'm not a puzzle hater, they're just in my way.
Wow.
They're standing between me and a new personal best.
Would the personal best be worth anything if not the adversity you overcame?
By skipping the puzzle, of course.
Yeah. Necessary evil.
So here, we're actually running out of durability, or it's getting low on our Hylian shield, so we're gonna swap to our fresh shield. We've been saving for the occasion. But yeah,
Perfect.
the Rito quest is super fun. It's like, talk to a guy, go talk to a guy, go kill 3 bokoblins and an Aracuda, go talk to Toland, and then you're at Wind Temple. It's very short and sweet. Although the dungeon itself is quite challenging, actually.
For anyone who's wondering, I did wind, water, fire, and lightning. The canon Anuma approved, he told me, personally, order. Those are the vibes you were supposed to follow.
Oh, speaking of Flint, nice little pickup there.
The flint. Yeah, just get some feathers.
So I'm landing on the ground here to spawn in Unobo Sage, because this also gives me a free battery refill for some reason. That's very convenient. Also, now would be a great time to put the sages back in their Pokeballs. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Every time, now would be a great time. I'm just like, finally, donations. Let's do it. And now would be a great time for just some donations, you know, just to anyone.
All right, that flint will be a good luck charm. We'll bring it along for the ride. So a lot of people may not know this, but so Tolan, you have to do this quest where you're supposed to find him. He spawns in right there on the cliff, but you don't actually need to talk to him. You can just shoot this Aracuda as soon as it spawns in, and it triggers the cutscene.
Aracuda, by the way, gnarliest name for any enemy in any game.
Oh, here's a trivia question for our huge nerds out there, and I'm outing myself here because I know this somehow. Do you know what the name of the Aracuda is in the game finals? What they refer to it as? He has a name.
Glenn?
Close. It's actually Toby.
What? Toby?
Tobi. Yeah, well, Toby. It's like a play on words because Toby means like fly in Japanese. But yeah,
That's amazing.
They call him
The
Toby.
best member of Naruto's Akatsuki? Deep
But yeah,
cut.
little deep cut there for our game lore fans out there. There's
Love
some
Toby.
the actor names in the game files are pretty funny. The Yiga clan members are called like junior assassins or something like that. I can't quite remember.
I love that. I also love how referring to them as like actors, like they're the people playing the in-game enemies,
True,
and not
true.
just actors, which are like game objects that move.
I like the way you're framing that. And
Yeah, Toby
What?
actually played Aracuda.
look him up on IMDb. See what else he was in.
Love this guy.
Yeah. The flux constructs are called block masters. That's another one of my favorites. I
That
just
reminds me of,
always
like,
call
the-
them block masters now.
Has anyone here played Okami? Because the blockhead guys in that game still give me nightmares. Not because they look scary, I just hate their puzzles. I'm a puzzle hater.
Yeah. Welcome to the club. We've been waiting for you. It was only a matter of time.
I will stand down immediately. I will grow, learn, improve. I will find my love for puzzles again, spending time with friends and family.
Oh man. Leave it to the YouTuber to give us a sappy apology video. I'm just kidding.
The goal of my content has always been to love puzzles. And I've let you all down.
The allegations. You're not beating the puzzle hater allegations.
I love puzzles!
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
prove it. Go play OOT Water
Tulin-
Temple.
The reason we couldn't fly higher is because Tulin has some mandatory dialogue down here on this platform. We could have gone further, but he'd still be waiting down here. It's weird. Tulin especially, because he flies with you at all times, losing him is weirder than the other sages.
Yeah.
The player
Speaking of
gets
spawn
confused.
conditions, Tolan's also great because he has an instant spawn condition just like Unobo, which is pulling out the paraglider midair. Very convenient. Although he has a much longer cooldown than Unobo. It's like 15 seconds. So you really don't want to miss any of his shots. Otherwise, that's an instant 15-second time loss. But yeah, we're just going to be rocking on our way up to Wind Temple. I think once we enter Wind Temple, we can probably... I think I saw we were already past 2 hours. So we can probably take our second scheduled break once we get to Wind Temple.
This is another dungeon that's in a hostile region. Extremely cold. Unfortunately, there isn't really a sage ability that helps with that. So we're just going to be tanking fairy damage for the rest of the dungeon.
Pretty much. And actually, the thing is, it doesn't start instantly, similar to the flame damage. So if you go quick enough between the cutscenes or the dialogue, whatever, that
Right.
it resets the cold damage, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But yeah, it's still definitely a factor to consider. Ooh, thank you for the assist. Strategic ragdoll.
Oh! The
Strategic
Lightning
ragdoll
Temple
right there.
takes
Bounce me.
place in an area that is really, really hot and really, really cold.
True.
Another natural reason the game incentivizes you going there later. Fourth even.
I don't remember what time of day we'll be entering the Greedo section. It'll probably be during the day, I think. But let's see here. Yeah, we can probably go ahead and take our next break here. So this is what was
Everybody
waiting
go
for
get
us
some
in
water.
that huge cloud. Reference?
Yeah, so during these longer runs, we like to take breaks every hour. So just everybody can get up, stretch, get some water, anything they need to do. Just before we go to the break, just a few quick reminders. Like y'all were mentioning a little recently, GDQ's next all-women NFEB speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, returns August 18th through 25th. You can use !FF in Twitch chat to check out the schedule and let us know what you're looking forward to the most. We also have, after that, we have GDQ going to PAX West. That's going to be August 30th through September 2nd. Schedule's out now. You can use !PAX in Twitch chat for more information, and let us know what you're excited to see on that as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. Today we are showcasing a run of Tears of the Kingdom All Dungeons. We're about 2/3 of the way in, so I'll just hand it right back over to y'all whenever you're ready.
Alrighty, let's get a countdown.
3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, so we are back in the Wind Temple. Hope you guys enjoyed the break. I will say Wind Temple is definitely a bit of a challenge, but we'll do our best to make it a breeze. I'm sorry.
Or more like a tool and dust.
True.
Thank you. Be here all
I hope to
for the next hour.
to blow you away with these cool speedrun strats.
That's supposed to be funny.
It-
I'm
it-
sorry.
It was.
It's one of my favorite things to say. Just, it's
Um,
supposed to be funny, huh?
If we're gonna be doing this about half the dungeon is gonna be done out of bounds, which is pretty cool. But if you mess up and get stuck out of bounds, it can really take the wind out of your sails. So we'll try
Alright,
to
now
avoid any
listen here.
mishaps.
My father lost the wind in his sails once. It was very serious.
Skill
Frightening.
issue.
Wow. Alrighty then. So, Wind Temple. It is built pretty sturdy. Unlike the next dungeon we're going to be going to, where you can kind of just exist in the ether. We will be going into the fourth dimension a bit, but it's going to be a bit harder to get around.
Yeah. Part of that
Because
is
it's
because
just built
yeah,
pretty well.
it's pretty compact. It's very tight. There's not a lot of room to maneuver out of bounds. And also Wind Temple is subject to a lot of coaling zones. We briefly touched on coaling zones earlier during our Water Temple adventures. Oh, his cooldown's not ready.
Essentially, the game will think Link is unnecessary and unload him, which we do not want to happen.
Yeah, we're gonna cheese this first one here with a little gale shot through the
Nice.
bars at a precise angle. But yeah, we're gonna be clipping out of bounds in very specific spots to avoid getting cold and derailing our sequence here. Tolan's cooldown is on 15 seconds, which is just tight enough to get from pretty much every terminal to every terminal without much having to wait.
Love it. So,
Here we
Wind
go.
Temple, unlike Lightning Temple, actually uses most of the space it is designated. Lightning Temple is nowhere near actually as big as that pyramid they show you, so you have a lot of room to move around. But with Wind Temple, the ship it's just not that big, and they use pretty much all of it. So out of bounds, it's really just the small segments of space between the rooms, and it's all really compact.
Yeah, you can see here his cooldown came right in time. So it's nice that, I mean, he is on a cycle, which gives you a little bit of leeway to for some more careful movement in the out of bounds section, which is perfect.
Grabbing the wall to snap him behind you at the end was really clean.
I'm gonna come back here. We need to get high enough here. There we go. We're activating a cutscene trigger. So the game thinks we're inside that room, which I am clearly not, but where am I? There we go. But as like a fail save to stop us from getting trapped in there, it'll open the door for us. So we can just do that from out of bounds. Quit back in
We were
bounds.
on the
Oh, why did I do
wrong
that?
side of collision, but there we
Oh.
go.
That was just a little bit of a muscle memory there that went wrong, so we're gonna have to wait for his cooldown. This guy's throwing rocks at me. Hey, my puns weren't that bad. Come on.
Eh,
There we go.
justified.
Oh man. So yeah, one more to go. And since we opened that door from out of bounds, we don't have to do the puzzle where you like build a little crank and open the door. All right,
Someone in chat says that's just like real pyramids, though, right? The vast majority of the pyramid is just solid stone. Yeah, but fun fact: the vast majority of pyramids are solid matter, and not vacant, out of bounds null space. Not many people know that.
Little known fact about pyramids.
That
Thank
they're
you.
solid.
Thank you for blessing us with that knowledge.
Well, you know, sometimes Snaps needs to stop by and let people know what's what.
True. And there we go. We've completed all the terminals mostly without incident, which is great. And now we're going to be heading to the fan favorite boss. Apparently, any Colgera fans.
Sub
boss
goal
fight's
to dive
well
through
done.
Colgera.
Not this time. Not this time.
How do you know if you've never been out of bounds in a pyramid, though? What do you know about how I spend my weekends?
So we're gonna make use of rockets here as well. If you, as long as you have battery and you're in bullet time, rockets basically have like infinite distance. Oh, I got scammed. So you can just kind of launch from far away and wait to hit the weak points.
Super helpful, though, the gust of air Colgera summons, if you get your paraglider out, will always refill your stamina. One of those, you know, fun above all else gameplay decisions that I really agree with. Be
Yeah,
super
definitely a
lame
good
if you had to
touch.
go back down. I think a lot of game devs call that like the rule of fun, where it's like, it doesn't really need to make sense. It feels better if it behaves this way.
Definitely. A little bit better visibility here.
There we go.
Take the shot, and we're good. Clear now.
Take the shot!
I didn't have to resort to my fire fruit that time.
Streamer, I noticed you didn't dive through Colgera, though.
It's fun. I know we just talked about the rule of fun, but in speedrunning, there's this thing called the rule of slow, where if it's slow, you don't do it. So the rule of
Dang.
slow generally takes priority over the rule of fun, sadly.
Can we compromise? Meet in the middle. Come on. Come to the negotiating table with me. What if
Okay,
you
well,
dive
what do you
through
propose?
one and then bullet time shoot the other two? I'm conceding 66% of speed to you there. You are unreasonable if you won't agree to that. That is... Honestly, you're getting away with way too much there. Someone just called them Colgate.
It might be autocorrect, to be honest.
Colgera is the best music in the game, and if you are an any percent runner, Colgera very strangely shares a battle theme with Ganon.
That's right. I can't believe I didn't mention that. It's been so long since I ran any percent. That's why I probably get a little bit of Ganondorf PTSD. Because in any percent, you can just skip the boss rush, and Colgera's the first one that appears. But his music and like the boss flag, I guess, takes priority over Ganondorf's. So for phase
Yeah.
one, you get Demon King Ganondorf and like the ominous music that he has, and then phase 2 and 3, his boss tag gets replaced with Colgera, and you just get to jam out to the Colgera theme for the rest of the Ganondorf
And if
fight.
you're curious, Colgera is indeed flying around out there. Just left alone. Not even called, right? Like, Colgera's just out there.
Oh yeah, and actually that causes problems for any percent runners because there's a tough aeroflight segment you do to get from the behind of the door to like the room where Ganon is in. And Colgera flying around is a bit RNG, and you can get some really bad lag spikes there for that flight that can mess you up.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody is immune to the lag spikes. And it's worth mentioning as well that the lag spikes are considerably worse on version 1.0. just because it's like a pre-release patch, basically. Wait, my cart is being a little bit strange here. Okay, we're just gonna do that setup again.
So for a bit of 1.0 lore, so Tears of the Kingdom came out, I believe, on May 12th, 2023. And the game was actually updated on May 11th, 2023 to version 1.1. So all digital versions of the game that anybody ever played was always from launch on 1.1. But the game went gold and shipped with 1.0 like over a month earlier because that's just how physical releases have to go. So there's like a really interesting conversation there of like, is 1.0 a pre-patch? Like, is 1.0 a pre-release version? Should 1.1 be 1.0? I'm not qualified to answer any of those questions.
Yeah, oh man, and like the many patches and versions that Nintendo's thrown at the game, it's definitely caused us in the Tears of the Kingdom speedrun community a bit of a headache trying to figure out how to organize the leaderboards and such. Right now, we currently have it so each version gets its own tab, with the fastest version being the default that you see when you first open up the category page.
Yeah. I mean, 1.0 really suffers from a lot of things where it's just like, yeah, of course they caught that before it released. Like,
Yeah.
if you jump down into the depths from the sky, you don't get the surface map layer, which makes sense. But in version 1.0 only, if you don't have the surface map, you can't switch between the depths and sky maps. Meaning if you're in the sky, you can't warp to the depths, and if you're in the depths, you can't leave. That's one of those things that I'm not surprised they caught before the game came out.
Yeah, definitely. So we're finally in the Gerudo section, which is going to be the last of our 4 regional phenomena before we head to Hyrule Castle to finish off the 6th dungeon. And for this segment, the Gerudo segment is very combat focused, so we get to use all of our arsenal that we built up over the last couple hours to our advantage here, and basically just unload on the Gibdo swarm. First, we gotta go through a little. Riju's doing her anime training sequence moment.
So, like, in a casual playthrough, you go to the actual town, you find it's abandoned, you eventually wriggle your way, like, into it, and then get pulled to go find Riju, and then you're even kind of funneled through an underground cave system
That's
that
right, I
kind of
forgot about
spits out right where Riju is, but you can just go to Riju. There's nothing stopping you. The Gerudo Town quest is, you could really expedite it when you know what you're doing. You just go to the 3 places and then you open the Lightning Temple. It doesn't have the kind of restrictions like the Water Temple does, for example.
More or less, that's pretty much it. How it goes, yeah. The other interesting thing to note about this section is that everything's kind of on a cycle, and the cycles aren't particularly tight. So this section's kind of nice, unless you just don't do something horrible to really like mess up in this section. It's really easy to kind of stay even with your pace, and it being the second to last dungeon is very nice.
Welcome to JoJo's Kazar Adventure.
And you were making fun of me for my puns? Oh, oof.
You know, you couldn't hear chat losing their minds with laughter, but they were. It's fine.
I mean, I don't think I can really hear chat at all, but...
I can, in my heart. That's what being a natural entertainer means. You always feel them right here.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
guess I'm not on that level yet.
we'll get there. So, Gerudo Town, the quest here for Lightning Temple involves 2 defense missions. Riju, like, has a health bar. It's never been a problem. But technically speaking, she can be defeated. So I guess, like, don't put your controller down and go make dinner. But the Gerudo are actually pretty okay at fighting the Gibdo. Like, they'll get them eventually. But the defense won't end until you take down these weird nests. I don't like it.
So we've got that card defense was pretty simple. It's like the prelude or the tutorial for the actual Gerudo Town defense that we're about to partake in. And if you remember from your casual playthrough, if you've gone through this game before, they give you a bunch of cool tools to work with, like barricades and cannons and traps and stuff to set up. We're gonna skip all that because it's slow, and we're just gonna rock it around and take care of everything ourselves.
I love the in-universe explanation of Riju's like, we need you to go around, make sure everything's fortified. Link doesn't put up any barriers and just starts flying around and taking mid-air pot shots with lightning arrows.
That's
Just
pretty much it. I mean, the game
rocketing around.
makes you confirm your choice twice to make sure that you actually want to go through without having set anything up. So they definitely encourage you to, but you just go talk to Riju. She says, speak to Buliara and she'll help you set up the defense. And you're like, no, I'm just going to speak to you again. She's like, oh, nice job. We're ready to go.
Someone asked if the pillars have like really precise weak points and that's why you're waiting to fire. We're actually waiting for Riju's lightning barrier to reach the pillar itself because it slowly extends in a circle from Riju as the center. And you need to shoot something that's in the like barrier in order for the lightning to strike it.
Exactly. And that's really what I meant by when I say these combat sections are on a cycle. So basically we have to use her there's the cycle of Riju's lightning ability, and there's also the cycle of when these hives they turn purple like that. That's when you can shoot them. That's like when they become weak. So they're on a cycle as well. You gotta wait for them to kind of expose themselves. But yeah,
So it's
this section's
basically
pretty fun.
it's just a mix of like Riju needs to be within range of destroying the nest, and the nest needs to be in a state that it can be destroyed. So when those two parameters are met, you need to be there to destroy it. If you're not, you're gonna have to wait until those two parameters are met again.
Yeah. Well, if you do miss the Riju cycle, you can also use a bomb arrow as a backup
Right.
if the hive is still open.
You ever played Mario? It's kind of like buses.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh no. Not the frame roll.
I've always personally preferred the frame rule explanation of stoplight. If the light's red, you can't go. But, consensus has been reached. It's a bus. Stopped at a red light. I just think if you had pointed those cannons in a slightly different place, put up some barriers, this could have been a team effort.
Look at those NPCs helping. Look at that. Oh, I think I missed. They took out two of the Giddos before I even got there.
Give them participation trophies. They're warriors.
You guys are in this too. Thank you for your help.
It's even worse when you say stuff like that.
It's fine.
If you're gonna fly around like a god of destruction, just be a god of destruction. Don't be like, guys, we're a family here at Gerudo HQ. I couldn't have done it without just, Beatrice, you really brought it together.
So right here, I'm gonna opt to not go for a clip out of bounds here. That's pretty tight, and it saves 3 seconds, but if you miss it, it loses like a minute and a half. So I'll just go for the safer strat here.
And this part right here is why we got the Zora shirt.
Yeah.
Basically it.
So we don't go to Jada.
And now you could theoretically take the shirt off and be free.
Correct, but we're gonna leave it on for style points. Also in memory of Mifa.
God, in memory of Mifa. Also, sick call out to Twilight Princess that also wears the Zora armor for the entire run. I see.
Oh, true. I didn't consider that.
All right, so here basically you're just opening up a couple of area. You're opening up some spaces and turning some levers so you can solve a mirror puzzle that makes, believe it or not, a Triforce. And then you get to do the Lightning Temple. Not before fighting the boss outside the dungeon, which is cool. I mean, pointless, but cool. Rule of cool.
I think it's a pretty neat introduction. But then I also wonder, like, when I go in and fight it inside the temple, is it going to be at like half health or something?
Yeah,
The answer
I
is
love
no. It
because
regens.
it's... Yeah. It is like, this is my dungeon, though. Like, you're gonna have to go through me if you want to come in here.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably protective of all her little baby Gyptos that we slaughtered.
Dang. It's like every conflict has two sides.
There we go. Right in the cutscene trigger there. So that's pretty much the end of the Gyro section lead up into Lightning Temple. And then for the actual dungeon itself, we'll see, or I'll show you guys why this one's my personal favorite in the speedrun. Oh, there's a weird bug here, where if you go up and talk to Riju too soon after you gain control, she'll just repeat the same speech bubble over and over again, like, where did Zelda go? Where did Zelda go? And you have to, like, wait and give her time to collect her thoughts. I don't know, I still don't know why that happens, and I'm still not quite sure, like, how you can avoid it.
Is that a certified 1.0 moment?
No, it happens in 1.12. Okay, we didn't get it that time.
Dang.
Oh?
She just wanted to know where Zelda went.
And she really wanted
You give
to
her
know.
even a second?
Well, no, frankly, I can't. I'm in a bit of a rush here.
Well, I just gave you quite a few seconds to come up with that answer. So, like, you know, maybe empathize.
I have to go
Alrighty.
back to Zelda to make up for my date at the beginning of the run that I skipped out on by
You were
clipping
pretty
out of
rude at
bounds.
the start of this run.
It happens.
Okay, Lightning Temple. We have Riju now. It's game time. We just need to open the door, even though we don't need to. You'll see.
I love how she just like somersaults in from the sky. What a boss babe.
Amazing.
What? Does that mean it's like the other Gyptos?
So Queen Gypto is a boss that is supposed to be difficult, but if you have...
The power
Yeah.
of friendship.
Sure, that's what that is.
I think they want you to use Riju's lightning there. It's supposed to be like a tutorial that, oh yeah, the boss is also weak to like the elemental effects. But no, sadly, I don't want to wait around for
Yeah.
like area of effect to show up.
And since
Alright.
Tears of the Kingdom is a game where there's 70 different ways to do anything, you can stun Queen Gypto any way you want.
Get up. Thank you. So now we are
Alright,
going to
so
proceed
what's up
to.
with this dungeon?
We are not going through the front door. We are going to come out of bounds here, and as you can see, we've got a lot of room to work with.
This pyramid isn't all the way through.
Waiting for our queen. There she is. Hello, hello. So there's these light mirrors you're supposed to shoot with Riju's ability. You can activate them from underneath out of bounds.
That's
So the-
convenient.
So the entire dungeon, we're just going to be, for each of the 4 terminals, just going to be surfing around on the sand here, waiting for Riju. That girl can really run in high heels. Gotta give her credit where credit's due.
In sand,
In the
no
sand,
less.
nonetheless, yeah.
Alrighty, coming up on the next one. So I'm noticing there's not the standard cutscene for activating those. Is that because we haven't made it to the center area and kind of started the terminal mission of the dungeon yet?
Yes and no. So the cutscenes will activate, but we don't need to actually start the temple for them to activate. It's just once we get in like basically within their activation range inbounds, it'll start. And this is actually helpful to pull us back inbounds without having to clip back in, because
Oh.
the way clips work in this game is it's very easy to clip through a wall or a floor, but clipping through a ceiling is a bit tougher with the current equipment we have. So we can just get like a nice little quick spawn. And now
Unpopular opinion, but ascend should just work.
it does in some places from out of bounds, but not others.
So this is one of. All right.
And here's one of those places where it does not work. Thankfully, we don't need it. So here I
Super
can tell by the
convenient and cool that
Two more left.
they can still be in the "oh, you shot me" state without being like properly loaded in.
yeah. It's also really funny because Riju has this dialogue where she's like, "Oh, the terminal is out of power. We can't like go up on the elevator." But then you can actually like literally see them glowing. So you're like, girl, maybe take a look again. It should be working.
That's great.
Yeah, so this is the cutscene you're supposed to get when you first enter the dungeon or get into this main hall here.
Yeah, it's what unlocks the warp point, makes it the dungeon proper. There's a pretty cool section at the start that's like more traditionally Zelda, just with some puzzles and fighting your way through some really confined corridors. And then it really opens up and you don't have to do any of that again because of the warp point. Kind of a good mix of both worlds there.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's very
no,
nice.
dingus, there's no power.
Girl, please look again. I'm begging you. I just ran around activating
Can you
them.
check the back for power?
Yeah, it's difficult to mess up those shots, but at the same time, if you do, it can get really bad. If you get pulled into bounds
Yeah.
and you miss one of the shots and you only have 3 out of 4, you got to go scrambling in bounds to try to find it. And if you're a filthy speedrunner like me who does not remember how to play the game casually, you're kind of left to your own devices.
Wouldn't you have the warp point at that point so you could just clip back out of bounds, get it, and then warp back?
Oh, that's true.
Kids don't
Although-
know their backups.
It's debatable
gotta have
if that would
backup
actually be
strats.
faster, though. I mean, ideally, you just know where it is and hit it. Or ideally, you just, don't miss the shot in the first place.
I mean, I think there's 1 or 2 of them that it would be super slow to get the normal way.
Oh, yeah. The one at the back there, it's super quick. All you have to do is, like, Ultra Hand a rocket
Oh,
side
yeah.
and walk in the room.
What about the one, though, where you have to go through the crushy room, drop down, solve a few mirror puzzles?
Honestly, I have no memory of this place. So I would be,
Okay.
I would be,
Well, then maybe the best idea wouldn't be to go and do it the normal way.
I would be utterly and totally lost. I'm gonna wait for her cooldown again real quick. Now we can finally take on the boss for real.
Both times we fight her, she's just sleeping in a sack. We are the aggressors.
She's regenerating. Topaz shot. Let's see where she lands.
Got it
Nice.
cornered here.
I mean, the Lightning Temple, I think, could reasonably argued as just like,
Big IG.
we're breaking into her home. Dang. So yeah, like every boss, it doesn't matter how hard you hit them. They're gonna do this little cutscene and be at half health.
Summoning more gifted.
Oh, that finally broke. Rest in peace. Good thing we duped another one. Oh,
You better look
there we go. Riju got in 1 hit. Thank you, girl. You think she's part of the team.
We brought her for a reason.
And there you go. That is Lightning Temple done almost completely out of bounds.
The last traditional dungeon.
So
Right.
now,
I've been counting, right?
pretty much. So from now, basically, we're just going to head over to Hyrule Castle, where all the sages will convene for a penultimate. Well, it's not really
Ooh.
penultimate. There's like 4 more fights after this. So yeah, the end game sequence is quite long. There's a lot of enemies we have to claw our way through to get to Zelda.
There's some great dialogue if you've done Spirit Temple before Hyrule Castle,
Oh,
where like Pura and the Brain Trust all get together and we're like, what are we gonna do? But there was a 5th sage, a sage of spirit, And then Link is just like, yeah, I know her. And Brewer's like, what? Because the Spirit Temple is really not something you're supposed to find before the other dungeons. We explained what's preventing you from doing it earlier, but you totally can without even too much trouble. So I love that there's a bit of dialogue where Link just chimes in for the first time that, yeah, he already found the Sage of Spirit. Don't even sweat it.
Yeah,
And
by the
nobody's
way-
noticed the giant Rock'em Sock'em robot hanging out. Gotta wonder what happened to the Sage of Shadow.
You know, honestly, when I first got the
Timelines.
Spirit Temple, I thought it was going to be a Shadow Temple because it's, you know, in the depths and such.
No, that would have made too much sense.
Spirit Temple is fine too, I guess.
The
But
Spirit
then I
Temple
saw-
was the Gerudo Temple in other games. I don't know.
True.
Timelines. Universes.
But then I saw Spirit Temple and I was like, wait, so is there a Shadow Temple as well? I was a bit disappointed to find out there wasn't. But then I was like, hey, we already got 2 more dungeons than Breath of the Wild, so
I was a little...
I'm fine with
I
it.
got a little overexcited when, like, the Spirit Temple proper text showed up. And I thought I was about to be descending into, like, a dungeon. And then it was just a boss
Yeah.
arena. But it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
You know, at a
Concert
certain
Factory was
point...
the real dungeon all along.
Yeah, it's like at a certain point, you've gotten, like, 100 hours out of this game. Just...
Right.
That's it's not even $1 an hour. Just chill. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, and the Master Sword too. They're telling you, like, you need to get Minoru, you need to get the Master Sword, you got to pick up eggs from the market. He's got it all. He's the.
They're just
dream
trying to
man.
make sure you get the secret ending.
Yeah, eggs from the market. Most people don't have that one.
Oh.
Play this casually, never saw Pura on the balcony before. Yeah, I mean, you can totally do the 4 dungeons and then think, alright, it's time for Ganon. You'd be totally right to think that. But it's the regional phenomena quest that you're tasked with that leads you directly into Hyrule Castle and then, you know, the Spirit Temple. We haven't really been talking about the run for the past minute or two because really
Not much has been happening.
you're going to the places and Zelda summons some baddies and you defeat them. Correct me if I'm wrong, nothing really earth-shattering here. Except the fact that we're getting Riju because we're touching non-village ground for the first time.
Yeah, the Hyrule Castle segment is really just like a Poggyrocket movement skill check.
I love parts of runs where it's just like hub movement.
Yeah, the movement here is really fun.
How good are you
Despite
moving
all the
around?
lag.
Oh, if those rumors of 60 FPS 4K Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch successor are true, it's gonna be 1.2 though.
Yeah,
That's a shame.
current patch.
That's a shame.
Get them all. Oh, we did.
But hey, I mean, 1.2 is an interesting run.
Goodbye, Phoenix.
Dang. You hit hard.
Okay. Let me out.
Yeah, just really a really good understanding of how all these areas connect together, memorizing exactly what enemies pop out, how you need to defeat them. This is really just like, okay, you've been following a route, you've learned some tricks, but this dungeon is a really fun kind of just gauntlet of like memorization, movement, execution tests.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild fans will recognize that room from the speedruns. Shout out to Craig the Moblin.
Gotta get the bow. Isn't there still a Royal Guard bow in that fireplace?
I believe there is, yeah. There's a Royal Guards Claymore in the back too, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Is one
Zelda's
of the
diary
still
is
alive?
gone.
Oh, there he is. Come on, sages, be useful.
Zelda's diary is gone, if I'm not mistaken, which means she went and recovered it and probably realized we'd been rifling through it.
Hmm.
We were looking for answers!
Oops. I mean, it's true, we were. So, this game has no shortage of trick shots. We'll try to get another one here. Ah, so close. You can get them all 3 in one shot because the Savage Lionel bow does scatter of 3.
Nice. The room
But-
wasn't even loaded.
It's also a little bit RNG dependent on the way that the likes wiggle around. But
Waiting for you.
that's Hyrule Castle. Now we just gotta go fight the boss.
Heck yeah. Someone mentioned next Switch will probably still be 30 FPS for most games. I agree. For most new games. Just like the Switch can run like Wii U games at 60 FPS 1080p. I just have to hope that its successor could run things like Tears of the Kingdom pretty fast. Imagine if they added quality of life fixes, like being able to skip the intro cutscene and any percent was just faster, even though it's not 1.0.
That's definitely been, the thought has definitely been entertained before, that's for sure. I think at this point it still wouldn't be. It's interesting with the glitches that have all been patched out from earlier versions. The Tears of the Kingdom glitch hunting community is incredible. Huge shout out to them. They've been very hard at work.
Oh yeah.
Finding ways to make sure all these glitches can work on the current patch. And now you can pretty much do anything in the older versions that you could do in the older versions, you can now do in the newer versions. The catch is that it usually just takes like 4 times as long and it involves
Yeah, it's
a
harder and
complicated
slower.
multi-step process. Yeah, they actually just found out how to get the message not found sword, the unbreakable one I'm using from their prologue. They just found out how to get that on current patch. This is a very recent development of like a
Wow.
day or 2 ago.
That's awesome. The problem is, in this theoretical, unconfirmed, probably honestly not going to happen, like 60 FPS Tears of the Kingdom, it wouldn't be current patch, it'd probably be even new patch.
True.
Like, they'd probably
True.
fix everything we know now, which is
Well,
sad.
we'll just have
Alright,
to
dropped right
break
out of
it all
Hyrule
over again.
Castle.
Yep,
Into
so
Hyrule
now-
Castle Chasm.
We have now completed all the dungeons and we have hit our clear requirement to go beat the game. So we are going to be just heading directly down. Conveniently, Hyrule Castle, as the last dungeon, is situated right above the final boss arena. So we can just clip
So do
and
you-
dive for like 2 minutes
do you-
straight.
Do you let go of the stick because diving is faster, or because you need to let go of the stick?
Oh. Didn't know there was a plane here too. Okay, interesting. Diving. Oh,
Dang.
I shouldn't have canceled so soon. We'll just wait more. Okay, there we go. Yeah, diving is faster than falling in the stick, so we need to cancel. Also because there's multiple layers of collision we have to clip through, so we need to cancel anyways to set up a new stick. Because once the stick above unloads, then we can't clip anymore. So now with the Demon King's army, this is a forced fight.
Hardly a
Thankfully-
fight under these circumstances. And
True.
if you have been a good camper and beaten all of the dungeons and Hyrule Castle, there won't be a boss rush at the end.
I needed those.
The jury's still out, though, on whether or not the sages will be here. I don't think they would. So how are you looking for your goal time?
What are we at on the clock right now?
2:45:11.
Oh yeah, we're looking great. We're looking great.
Sweet. You're leaving topazes on the ground.
I know, they spawned in too fast.
So you might have noticed, astute viewer, that basically the solution to all 4 of these waves is to pocket rocket to get some distance and then decimate the monster population with topazes. Is topaz the best for this, or just the most readily available?
Both, actually.
Oh,
Topaz does 10 more damage than Ruby, and the area of effect is a bit larger, I believe. Oh, there was one straggler. All right, well,
Someone
splash
said
root,
they
go.
weren't even aware you could come down here without all the dungeons. After GSI, there is nothing stopping you from jumping into the Hyrule Castle chasm. You don't even need the paraglider. There are numerous glitchless ways to survive that fall.
If you haven't seen an any percent speedrun of this game, I highly recommend it. It's a very fun and entertaining category. Where basically you just complete Gray Sky Island with Arrow Smuggle like we showed at the beginning, and then head directly down here with even less equipment, no fairies, no paraglider, basically just a bunch of gems, and you fight Ganondorf with weapons you pick up from Army.
You should also see the absolute mad lads do any percent blindfolded.
Oh goodness, yeah.
So it looks like your Zuggle is a bit more traditional now because the sword is in his hands at all times. Oh no, it's gone.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know
dynamic
what's
Zuggle
real.
is for you.
I don't know what's
It's all
true.
good.
I'm being gaslit, gate
So,
bossed,
If you
and
thought
girl
that
kept.
the other fights were a breeze, this one will be very fun. Or perhaps not.
Dang! It's not right. He deserves better.
He doesn't even get a chance. Yeah. The real final boss of this game is not Ganondorf. He's a complete pushover. The real final boss is Demon Dragon. Demon Dragon is arguably one of the actual hardest parts of the speedrun to get optimally because it's on a cycle and it's a very, very tight cycle with almost no room for error.
Oh yeah.
If we mess up, we'll lose about 20 seconds. It won't be a huge deal, but of course we gotta try to end the run in style.
You gotta ham it up. You gotta say you've crunched the numbers, Math Whiz, and sub 3 is on the line.
I actually haven't crunched the numbers, but maybe I should do that.
Sub 3 is on the line.
Yeah, mess up the parry. It's okay, we can.
Oh, he's gonna break your Hylian shield. He can do that.
Mess up the parry, but we try to do a parry there just because it's a little bit quicker than doing a flurry rush. When you only need to get in 2 hits, a flurry rush is kind of a waste of time.
Ganondorf, for some reason, he doesn't deal too terribly much damage to Link, but like whatever he's holding, it cuts through the Hylian shield like a warm knife through butter. Most players on their first playthrough got their Hylian shield wrecked.
Yeah, I think it immediately puts it down to like 2 or 3 durability or something. No matter how much it
Yeah.
has, just instantly.
And if you
lowers it.
block those
badly
projectiles in
damaged.
the final phase, it just shreds it. I think they were fine with it because there's no way if Ganondorf destroys your Hylian shield, you're either going to beat him or you're going to die and get it back. So they
True.
just went ham. They don't care.
Also, here's a funny side effect of the dynamic Zuggle glitch we performed to stack the swords. Link doesn't actually pull it out of Zelda's head, and he's just kind of
He's not the chosen one.
doing a power fist midair.
He's just sad.
Like, hey buddy, I think you forgot something, and then he's like, well, it's actually already on my back, in case you can't
He
tell.
is an aspiring mime. Can you get off his back for once?
It's really great. I really like how they give you the Master Sword like basically for free
Oh
at the
yeah.
end of the run. We don't technically need it in this category because of all our Zuggle stacks, but in like any percent, you need the Master Sword because otherwise
Yeah.
there's really nothing else that can do good enough damage to Demon Dragon's weak points. And that
And
being
it's great
said, I'm going to
lore
log in.
wise.
I'm gonna log in here and try to focus
Do
on
it.
getting the fast cycle here.
Perfect.
This will be the very end of our run.
So Demon Dragon is basically an auto-scroller, but it's one you have a great deal of control over. And just coincidentally, the fastest way to do it basically requires no waiting. This has been broken down to a science. It's really impressive when it goes right. And honestly, it's just impressive always. So the first step is to drop a wing and get Pocket Rocket again. And now we're just gonna wait and see how it goes. Also, best song in the game. So what we're waiting for here is Demon Dragon is meant to flee after certain damage thresholds. Quite honestly, he's meant to flee after everyone. And what we're going for is to catch him at the end of his retreat and really get him when we're not supposed to be able to. Not this time, but after the next attack, I believe.
Perfect. All right, we're looking good here. This is the hardest part right here, so see if we
Yeah,
can clutch it
catching
out.
him right here, just prematurely being where he's ending up. And then this is the final ascent to see if we can catch him before he even realizes we're in the final part of the fight and runs to where he's meant to be for it.
That might have just killed it. Let's see if we can get there quick enough. Gonna go for a backup here. Don't know if we're gonna hit this.
Oh boy. Fingers crossed, everyone.
Yeah, we missed like every shot. Nah, it's all good.
Dang.
Yeah, we didn't quite get it. I was playing well, but I got hit by an RNG gloom ball there, so
That really wasn't your fault.
really nothing you can do about that. So we
Would
just
it be
gotta,
impressive to hit it live if you hit it every time?
please pick me up. I'm begging you.
No!
Many an any percent runner has lost their run to Zelda weird AI quirks.
Sub 3's really not looking good now, boys.
I wouldn't say that. Although we might have to be a bit quick here. She dropped us really far away. Come on, babe, put me a little bit closer, please.
Make them think Sub 3's on the line. What are you doing?
Oh, this means we get to do the cool side hop here. Or not. Okay, let's see. Hop a fairy and try to get that. Oh, it's just not working. Okay. Oh yeah, we're at the weird angle.
Okay, Sub 3's not supposed to actually be on the line.
I kept you guys waiting in suspense. There's a side hop you can do there.
You spent
to
like
get
another
in
3
midair.
minutes on this.
But the head was sloped up, so I wasn't getting it.
I think you
Classic.
would have been right, valid, and brave to have just restarted Dragon.
Actually, that's what we often do in any percent runs. If the run dies to dragon at the very end, you just
Run it
game
back.
over yourself and then try again.
You should get one Grace Dragon. You should still be able to get world record if second Dragon is perfect.
True, I agree. So there's just about 45 seconds left of the game here, and time is going to be coming up shortly as we dive down to catch Zelda like we failed to do almost 3 hours ago.
Time's actually coming in exactly 6 minutes, just so you know.
Oh, are we what are we at for
You're-
timing right now? I'm not really watching.
You're going to leave this going for 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
You really want to milk that content, huh?
I'm so content-pilled! I love entertaining people on their evenings!
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And by evening, well, it's almost 1 in the morning, so we can send you guys out to bed a little bit early, thankfully.
Right?
But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the way the run went. No.
Right, this is best song in the game. Alright, the second their slimy, sweaty hands clasp together, that's time.
And time. There we go. That is Tears of the Kingdom All Dungeons 1.0. Thank you guys so much for spending your evening / late night / wherever you are with us, listening to our bad jokes and such. But I hope you guys really enjoyed the run. I am going to be showcasing this run again at Flame Fatales next month. So if you want to see it twice, the run's so nice you got to watch it twice. Make sure to come back and check that out as well. And really huge thanks to Snaps for being willing to join me for a commentary. It was great having you.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone.
Yeah, and your run's Friday night, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's the 23rd. For those of you at
Ooh.
home who aren't staring at a schedule right now or don't know what day the 23rd is.
Yeah, but if you guys saw any of this and thought, hey, I want to try that for myself, definitely come check out the Tears of the Kingdom Speedrunning Discord. A lot of cool activity going on in there. Different runners doing different categories. I'm actually going to be starting to run the All Shrines category this coming weekend. It's like a 6.5, 7 hour category. So if you want double the content of that, come and check out All Shrines. It should be a pretty fun time. But yeah, there we go.
That sword's glowing.
And the master lightsaber in the cutscene here.
One last fun fact for the road. It's because message not found is duplicated 9 times, and each sword gets its own very subtle glow. That if you multiply it by 9, it's a doozy. And that fun fact can tuck you right into bed, everyone. Love you all.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you both so much. Definitely be sure to check both of these fine runners out. With that said, it is very late. It is well past everyone's bedtime here. We don't have anything else for you tonight. Thank you again, both of you, for being here. We will be back tomorrow night. We've got As Seen on TV starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we've got Express Lane at 10 p.m. Eastern. See y'all there. Have a great night, everyone.